Yes, and hello once again. I'm Max Ratt, and welcome to the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. Well, it's October 11th. Funny enough, October 11th, 2014. And I got another show for you this evening. Just want to say one thing is that I work so hard on these shows, and I know it takes. I know many of my fans tell me, well, they wish doing more shows. When's the next show, Max, and stuff like that. And I really and again, I guess I said this before, but I wish I could do a show every night. I'm trying to get these shows done, and just for the record, I sometimes I kind of if I jump on something and I go out there and start talking about it immediately, I find that there's always other information that comes up eventually that ends up adding to my perspective on things. So, well, for whatever it's worth, this is the way the shows are coming out. Maybe one day I'll change it. I wish I could figure out the magical formula. I know my show is not like it's not like other shows, and I'm not trying to do that intentionally or with any set game plan. I'm just trying to go with my heart and go with what comes out of me, and there you have it. It's a Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. I'm Max Ratt. Welcome back. It's October 11th, and the show, the title of the show will be ISIS, I'm Your Boogieman. It will be self-explanatory. It's a long show. I got loads of information. This is going to be a several-part series on ISIS, the new Boogieman. Why don't we just get started with the show? Welcome aboard. Thanks for coming aboard. Listen to my show. I'm Max Ratt once again. Glad to have you here. Let's roll.
He who lives with untruth lives in spiritual slavery. Freedom is still the bonus we receive for knowing the truth. Ye shall know the truth, says Jesus, and the truth shall set you free.
They're lying to us.
In this age of high-tech distraction, it takes a lot to wise many of us up.
That the United States of America will not be distracted or deterred from what must be done.
My business and what I do is I service the community. And basically what I'm saying is I don't see a way that you would be helping my community.
What about calling some bingo games or something? You got like a community center for bingo?
Bingo's a distraction.
Schools train people to be ignorant with style. They give you the equipment that you need to be a functional ignoramus. American schools do not equip you to deal with things like logic. They don't give you the criteria by which to judge between good and bad in any medium or format. And they prepare you to be a usable victim for a military-industrial complex that needs manpower. As long as you're just smart enough to do a job and just dumb enough to swallow what they feed you, you're going to be all right. So I believe that schools mechanically and very specifically try and breed out any hint of creative thought in the kids that are coming up.
That was great, Frank Zappa, talking about how we're raised and we're bred to be functional ignoramuses, and frankly, well, I don't want to get into it because, like I said, I got a long show here tonight, but I find that I see that every minute of the day. When I encounter very bright people who have good jobs and very successful people every day here in New York City where I live. And yet, when I start talking about to them about several of these issues that I tend to focus on, I just look at them with awe-stricken or dumbfounded, if you will, where they've lost their minds. Okay, and I'm not picking on people because I'm talking about these are people who I happen to love, many of them, and people who are very nice people and certainly very bright people. And yet, when I hear what comes out of their mouth, and because there's a game plan here to keep you distracted, quote unquote, and unfocused and out of the loop and functional ignoramus, in the words of the great Frank Zappa. Moving on.
Education is a system of imposed ignorance.
The whole goal, ladies and gentlemen, is to dumb down the nation so that the people of the United States of America will accept their place in the new socialist world order.
You have to control what people think. And the standard way to do this is the resort to what in more honest days used to be called propaganda. Manufacture of consent, creation of necessary illusions, various ways of either marginalizing the general public or reducing them to apathy in some fashion.
Americans are not disciplined enough to even understand.
Going back to, you're not even disciplined enough to understand, you American.
It's also a function of the fact that our public, by and large, to be perfectly blunt but accurate, is woefully ignorant about the world.
That was the wonderful Zbigniew Brzezinski, and he's like, yeah, you guys are just woefully ignorant about the world, and he frankly, and I'll get into, well, I don't want to start you off with that. I'm going to tell you, ask me or email me if you listen to the show and you say, and remember, Max, when you spoke about Zbigniew, you said you were going to tell us something about him. I'm going to tell you who I think his father is, but I frankly don't want to go into it right now. Let's just keep it going. So Zbigniew is like, the American public is woefully ignorant. Yeah, compared to him, yep.
It's also a function of the fact that our public, by and large, to be perfectly blunt but accurate, is woefully ignorant about the world.
Yeah.
What a bunch of dumbasses.
The public will shortly be unable to think or reason for themselves. It was meaning by the form of information that was given to them, the type, the formulas that were in use then in the 1970s. He says, eventually they'll be unable to think or reason for themselves. And eventually, he said, they will expect the media to do all their thinking and reasoning for them. Well, that's happened today. That's why people today can't think outside of the programming from television.
There you go, and that's Alan Watt talking about Z-Big. He said that the public will eventually not be able to think outside the programming of television, and frankly, again, I'm not just talking about anybody, and you know what, and I'm no better than anybody, and there's an old clip. Well, I don't have it in front of me right now, where it said I too was just like that. So I'm not trying. I am no better than anybody or smarter than anybody, but I somehow broke out of it, and I'm telling you that the public in general, including very bright people and very successful people, are caught up in this. They just regurgitate the nonsense they hear on TV. Like, what do you think? You don't think Democrats are better than Republicans, Max? I'm like, I don't even know what to say to that. And by the way, that was my best friend in the whole world. Asked me that the other night at dinner, and I was like, I don't even know what to tell you. And that's somebody who I've been friends with for 40 years, but. That's another story. Let's keep it going. So Z-Big said, eventually you're not going to be able to think outside the programming of television.
Say, where do we get the groceries?
Oh, I went shopping early this morning.
You left the house?
Yes. I had to hurry down to my neighborhood grocer to shop for your supper.
Well, now, who told you to do that?
A man on television.
God, it's so clean out here.
Because they don't throw their garbage away. They make it into television shows.
That was from Annie Hall, and she's like, they're out in L.A., and she's like, wow, it's so clean, because they're from New York. And Annie Hall's like, wow, it's so clean out here. And Woody says, it's because they don't throw their garbage away, they make it into television shows. Next, and keep it going, you're like, okay, Max, so what about ISIS? Don't worry, we got a great show about ISIS. This is an action-packed, info-packed show. What I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start you off with is, what I'm trying to start One person told me that in the way that you present an essay or a synopsis of something is like, first you tell them what you're going to tell them, then you tell them what you just told them, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm telling you what I'm going to tell you. So what I'm telling you now is that we're being programmed to not pay attention and to be distracted, and they make their garbage into TV shows. Carrying on.
We have an idea for a new conditioning campaign, sir. It's a light-hearted approach with slogans like, "They say we only use 10% of our brain." That's way too much.
The point of this whole thing is to keep getting smarter, to keep growing, to use as much of your brain as possible. For example, I use 48% of my brain. Do you know how much you use? 47? 3. I'm sorry? 3. I use 3% of my brain? Yes, don't worry about it. Everybody on Earth uses 3% of their brain. 3 to 5%. Now, being from Earth as you are and using as little of your brain as you do, your life has pretty much been devoted to dealing with fear. It has? Well, everybody on Earth deals with fear. That's what little brains do.
The ideas, the thoughts, and the opinions of the masses are being manipulated through fear.
I admire and respect the vigilant coverage of the free American press, radio, and television, through which the people of America were so well informed.
Okay, that was Nelson Rockefeller himself. He said, I admire the vigilance of the press that keeps the American people so well informed. Isn't that funny how he's like, yeah, so he's like, don't, and you know, and as American, you're like, oh, no, thanks, Nelson. But like, needless to say, if you ever heard of any of my shows, you will know that that's the notorious, one of the fiercest arch criminals who ever walked this earth. He's the grandson of John D. Rockefeller himself. He's Nelson Rockefeller. Lots more to go on that, but he admires the vigilance of the press that keeps those American people, the sheeple, informed. Thanks, Nelson. Carrying on.
Oh, our government and the press generally won't tell us these things, but God told me to tell you this morning. The truth must be told.
Truth must be told.
Today's account's gonna draw you a scary story.
Oh, I can't wait. In just 20 minutes, we'll be in a 3-hour line to see the orb of Isis.
Something's out there. I don't know what. It really frightened us. A big hairy...
Calm down now. What do you think you really saw?
I don't know. Maybe a bear.
No, it wasn't a bear. It was just too big. Oh, I wish I got a picture of it. Wait a second. Maybe it was Bigfoot.
Maybe it was Bigfoot, and that's funny because that's the old TV show called Isis. It was called The Secrets of Isis. It was a superhero show, and Isis was a superhero. She was a very sexy, attractive teacher out in California, and she would turn into Isis when there was trouble along the same lines as any superhero show. I remember watching it when I was a kid. It was called the Isis Shazam Isis Hour. It was probably on Saturday afternoons. That was when you got a lot of those shows. Anyway, so they did a Bigfoot episode where one of the her little students is like I just saw this big scary hairy thing out in the woods, and that she's a teacher at this point. She's like, well, settle down. What do you mean? What did you see? And she said it looked like a bear, and then her other student says, oh, that was too big for a bear. That was big. I think that might have been Bigfoot.
Like I said, I've started out as a skeptic on this series, but evidence like this has made me think that Bigfoot just might exist.
That was from the Searching for Bigfoot series on, I think it was Bravo channel, I'm not really sure, 80, one of those stupid channels on cable. And they have a show called Searching for Bigfoot, and the producer of Bigfoot's like, when in his effeminate voice, he's like, Bigfoot might just exist, you know. He's like, I didn't think that. I was a skeptic back then, but anyway, so again, we're searching for Bigfoot. ISIS was looking for Bigfoot.
I got this book from the library. It's about Bigfoot.
Oh, really?
It says Bigfoot's been seen in California.
Oh, not only California. Every state in the United States. In Canada, they call him Wendigo. And the Indians call him Sasquatch.
Bigfoot certainly gets around.
That's true.
He sure does.
Just what the hell is this about?
I hate to break this to you, Gary, but some people out there want you dead.
Dead?
They're called terrorists, Gary, and they hate everything about you.
Why? What did I do to them? I'm just a Broadway actor.
It's not who you are, Gary, it's what you stand for. And every single minute of every single day, the terrorists are planning new ways to kill you and everyone else who lives in a free country.
So what would you like to do right now more than anything in the world?
See the ISIS exhibit.
Have you ever heard of ISIS?
From the Shazam ISIS Hour TV show?
No, the...
Remember Shazam? Wait.
Mighty ISIS.
Oh my gosh. It's the mysterious orb of ISIS. Archaeologists have been studying it for decades and still have no clue what it means.
And again, remember the occult significance of the word Isis. It's an Egyptian goddess and deity that is a favorite of the occult mysteries and secret societies that run this planet. So it's no coincidence here, this terrorist so-called extremist group called ISIS. And
Allah, biam Allah.
What was that?
The sacred oath of the genies.
Yeah, and just for the record, I Dream of Jeannie, she was from Baghdad, so I thought there was some relevance there, and you'll see, actually there was, even though that was a show from the 70s. Bam, bim, Allah, bim, Allah.
Bam, Allah, biam Allah.
What was that?
The sacred oath of the genies.
We can't afford a war.
We're not going to have a war. We're going to have the appearance of a war.
We cannot afford the appearance of a war.
What'll it cost?
But they would find out.
Who's going to find out? The American people?
Exactly.
Who's going to tell them?
Who's going to tell them? That's certainly not the alternative or the mainstream press. Max Ratt will tell you.
Nobody would.
You're going to have to choose to listen to me, though, or believe, or, well, don't believe me, just listen to me, because I'll play it for you, and I'll show you to you that way they say it in their own words. Carrying on, that was from Wag the Dog. He said, we don't have a war, we'll have an appearance of a war.
Nobody would know, right? We can make it up.
No, and that was also from Wag the Dog. That was Dennis Leary. He's like, nobody will know, we'll just make it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, the war on terrorism, which is the main justification for waging a war of conquest, which is clearly acknowledged in military and national security documents, that war on terrorism is fabricated. It fabricates an enemy. The enemy is presented. There's the image of the enemy. But
yeah, we make that up. That's fabricated, okay? And that's that. I've been telling you that, and people want to hold on to like, Max, what about this? I'm like, nothing. What about nothing? This is all made up. It's made up by the hand of a writer's hand. Okay, these people none of them exist, and I know you can be like, oh, you don't believe ISIS exists at all. Well, we're going to get into that, but no, I don't, and I'm sorry. And if you want to turn the show off right now, fine. If you want to hear why I have to say that, and you want to have a intelligent, scientific, and intellectual approach to something, you will listen, and I will explain it to you clearly, because this show is full of information like that. Carrying on. So the war on terror is fabricated. Fabricated, I'm not sure what definition you'd like, but fabricated means made up or made.
Ladies and gentlemen, the war on terrorism, which is the main justification for waging a war of conquest, which is clearly acknowledged in military and national security documents, that war on terrorism is fabricated. It fabricates an enemy. The enemy is presented. There's the image of the enemy. But
ISIL itself is an imaginary army.
And that was George Galloway, who was in the British Parliament. He sounds like I think he's a Scottish guy, or one of the, or I'm guessing at that, frankly, but he's very well known. He's a very outspoken, and people, and listen, you can get a couple of clips from him, and you'll be, wow, he sounds so. He said ISIS is an imaginary army. Don't get me wrong, because I will show you. There's other clips of where George in that same meeting or a parliamentary debate that they had, he will contradict himself, and that's it. But this is all part of the doctrine of plausible deniability, which I will certainly get into in this show. So he said, ISIS itself is an imaginary army.
ISIL itself is an imaginary army.
Or ISIL. Here we go.
There were the huge printing shops with their sub-editors, their typography experts, and their elaborately equipped studios for the faking of photographs. There was the teleprogram section with its engineers, its producers, and its teams of actors specially chosen for their skill in imitating voices. There were the armies of reference clerks, whose job was simply to draw up lists of books and periodicals which were due for recall. There were the vast repositories where the corrected documents were stored, and the hidden furnaces where the original copies were destroyed. And somehow or other, quite anonymous, there were the directing brains, who coordinated the whole effort and laid down the lines of policy which made it necessary that this fragment of the past should be preserved, that one falsified, and the other rubbed out of existence.
Okay, that was a clip from the audiobook of the book 1984, and that he's reading verbatim right out of the book. And he's talking about the Ministry of Truth, which is where Winston, who's the primary character of the book, he works at the Ministry of Truth. The Ministry of Truth is basically the news or the media ministry, and he said that they had offices there where they have where they make fake photographs. And they also have offices where they have the actors who are very clever at imitating voices of other people in order that they probably to fake and and this is okay. So this is a book written in 1949. Once again, it's called 1984. It's a prophetic book. Many will agree, and along with Brave New World, many will agree that, and well, I don't like to say many will agree because that's a consensus thing. I am quite sure that this is a book that's almost a playbook or a blueprint for how totalitarian rulers. It's a brilliant, and it has so much insight into these things. Anyway, let me play that clip once more time. It's about the Ministry of Truth. It's from 1984, from the audiobook. Because this is an audio show, I figured why not go with the guy reading it right out of the book. Once again, the Ministry of Truth, 1984.
There were the huge printing shops with their sub-editors, their typography experts, and their elaborately equipped studios for the faking of photographs. There was the teleprogram section with its engineers, its producers, and its teams of actors specially chosen for their skill in imitating voices. There were the armies of reference clerks, whose job was simply to draw up lists of books and periodicals which...
He said teams of actors that for their purposes necessary. That's teams of actors, folks. And that was in 1949 again, and again they're talking about print typeset printers and stuff, which is we've gone way past that in contemporary times. However, this is all about the Ministry of Truth, how they're all set up to bring you illusions.
Were due for recall. There were the vast repositories where the corrected documents were stored, and the hidden furnaces where the original copies were destroyed. And somehow or other, quite anonymous, there were the directing brains, who coordinated the whole effort and laid down the lines of policy which made it necessary that this fragment of the past should be preserved, that one falsified, and the other rubbed out of existence.
So how did they do it? Well, 600 million gallons of synthetic salt water, sand imported from the Gobi Desert, and the sky? It's not a sky at all. It's a cyclorama made from a polymer fabric developed especially for the space program. That canopy encloses not only the ocean, but also a town of more than 400 structures that's lit by a matrix of over 800,000 halogen lamps of varying intensities, convincingly to create the movements of the sun, the moon, and the nighttime constellations.
Look at that!
That is a complete fucking fraud, and it looks 100% real.
And moving on, another that was from Wag the Dog. Where they created a fake war, just like so they're telling you in that movie that was with Dustin Hoffman and De Niro and many other very, very well known and likable stars, and they were telling you in that show, in that movie, that that's what they do, and that was over 20 years ago. And now here's another quick clip from 1984.
What was needed was a piece of pure fantasy. Suddenly there sprang into his mind, ready-made as it were, the image of a certain Comrade Ogilvy, who had recently died in battle in heroic circumstances. There were occasions when Big Brother devoted his order for the day to commemorating some humble, rank-and-file party member whose life and death he held up as an example worthy to be followed. Today he should commemorate Comrade Ogilvy. It was true that there was no such person as Comrade Ogilvy, but a few lines of print and a couple of faked photographs would soon bring him into existence.
There you go. And that's very interesting, because if you notice, I mean, does that sound familiar to you? Because when you watch any of these political speeches, they're like, and I want to talk about so and so who she's overcome or he's overcome adversity of this kind and that kind, and that's exactly. And so again, he was Orwell was discussing that in 1949 when he wrote this book, and he said the creation of Comrade Ogilvy, the fantasy, who is and he, of course, he doesn't exist, but nothing, a few fake photographs and some carefully, cleverly contrived nonsense in the written form. In this case, we would have fake videos. That should do the trick. Yeah. Well, you know what? Play it one more time. It's important.
What was needed was a piece of pure fantasy. Suddenly there sprang into his mind, ready-made as it were, the image of a certain Comrade Ogilvy, who had recently died in battle in heroic circumstances. There were occasions when Big Brother devoted his order for the day to commemorating some humble, rank-and-file party member whose life and death he held up as an example worthy to be followed. Today he should commemorate Comrade Ogilvy. It was true that there was no such person as Comrade Ogilvy, but a few lines of print and a couple of faked photographs would soon bring him into existence.
Yeah, that'll do the trick. And so Winston, that was his job, was to working at the Ministry of Truth was faking things and eliminating and rewriting the past. And so he was like, you know what, we need. He thought of that. So he's like, yeah, I should just make up a Comrade Ogilvy, and that he liked that idea. And I'm watching you because that's exactly how things work.
They got to know at some point.
Who?
Who? The public.
They gotta know?
Yes.
Stan, get with it. Who killed Kennedy? I read the first draft of the Warren report. It says he was killed by a drunk driver. You watch the Go For. What do you see day after day? The one smart bomb falling down a chimney. The truth? I was in the building when we shot that shot. We shot it in a studio, Falls Church, Virginia, 1/10 scale model of a building.
Is that true?
How the fuck do we know?
There you go. And De Niro saying, yeah, we made a fake video of a bomb hitting a building, like they show us with the smart bombs and this and that, in a scale model, in Virginia. And then Dustin's like, is that true? He's like, how the fuck do we know?
Well, just because it's in the paper ain't no sign it's true.
I kind of staged the whole thing.
Oh my God, Haley! You're a journalist!
What?
Sure, we don't report the news, we make it. Accuracy is so time-consuming. Fiction is the new fact.
Has a war been staged for us, complete with weapons and ideology and patriotic drum-beating, even spark, even race hatred?
Apparently, it is by design that we fight. We seem to be pawns.
Moving around imaginary armies.
They are fierce, battle-hardened fighters, religious zealots, merciless killers. But the jihadists of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS as they're known, they have a strategy, and it's working. They use social media as a weapon. Many of the images in this story come from accounts associated with ISIS and can't be verified.
They give you the whole Boogieman thing, and they're like, oh, but it can't be verified, sorry. And they use social media as a weapon because they're brilliant social media people. For the record, I've been kicked off of Facebook for the 4th time. So they certainly don't need anybody. So in other words, ISIS is out there using the social media to terrorize us, but they're kicking Max Ratt off because I said something on Huffington Post page that you guys are full of crap, and I didn't even use the word crap. I don't curse or post any naked pictures of anybody or anything like that. And they disconnect my page just because because they don't like what I say. Period. Because I'm not. That's all I've done is spoken out against certain things in a very firm, but certainly not unethical or unsavory type of way in any regard. But then somehow I get kicked off. But ISIS is out there recruiting people, and they don't, and Facebook doesn't kick them off, which is all just feeding into the idea that there's a crop of nonsense. Carrying on.
Do you believe in the Boogieman?
That was from Nightmare on Elm Street with Johnny Depp. She was like, "Do you believe in the Boogeyman?" He was like, "No."
Well, you know something? Each president has to create the boogeyman.
At this moment, the greatest threats come from the Middle East and North Africa, where radical groups exploit grievances for their own gain. And one of those groups is ISIL, which calls itself the Islamic State.
Obama creating the Boogeyman.
He needs a boogeyman.
He needs a Boogeyman. That was from Fox. He needs a Boogeyman.
I'm your boogeyman.
Hence the title of the show. I'm your boogeyman. I like that one, and you're gonna hear a lot of that throughout the show. That was Casey and the Sunshine Band.
I'm your boogeyman. That's what I am.
Terrorism has long been a tactic, but modern technology allows a few small men with outsized rage to murder innocents on a horrific scale.
All right, so I'm eating dinner with my oldest childhood friend, who's my best friend, who's my buddy since the get-go, and still my buddy to this day. We're friends for 4 decades minimum. Well, I'm not that much older than that, so yes. And we're just eating dinner, and he says, well, you know, with technology now, you know, you don't think that there's a more of a danger. So I'm like, oh, and I'm of course clipping all these clips for my ISIS show, and I'm like, oh no, my best friend is repeating stuff like that to me. Because that's what the media and whether it's Obama or it's himself, like you just saw in that clip, or they're going to give you the idea like because people when you say, well, technology is moving forward quickly, nobody's going to argue with that, including myself. Because all they see is like they're up to iPhone 6 already. And then they say, well, that's why 5 guys in the whole world can terrorize a whole 300 million person country or a 6 billion person planet. And I'm like, well, you know, and he repeated that to me at dinner, and I was like, oh no, okay, oh no, and I just said, what do you want for dessert or something like that? I couldn't even have the heart to say anything else besides that. Carrying on. So Obama said, yeah, well, you know, we're living in a world now that there's only that 2 people can and that's why we need to spend $1 trillion a year to find those 2 people, and we can't find them, of course.
Terrorism has long been a tactic, but modern technology allows a few small men with outsized rage to murder innocents on a horrific scale.
Yeah, and by the way, that was from President Peace Prize, Nobel Peace Prize speech. So they've been propagating and cultivating and manifesting this nonsense for many long time, and it's certainly longer before Obama was around. Carrying on.
Once again, a cartoon depicting the Muslim prophet Muhammad is set to air tonight on Family Guy.
Oh, Randy, hold me.
hold me.
This time it's heightened. This time it's fear-mongering, fear control, fear mind control on steroids because, of course, they are trying to prop up this new boogeyman, ISIS.
Because they needed a new boogeyman.
I've been telling you for 2 years that Islamic extremists are determined to kill you, and telling you for months that ISIS is coming for you.
And you know, that's Judge Janine Pirro. She's a TV judge, or she's a judge from Westchester, I think, like that. But like, so who are, since when are these people experts on geopolitics or something like that? Not that, well, or anybody for that matter. But she's like, I've been telling you for years that ISIS is coming to get you. It's coming to get you.
I've been telling you for 2 years that Islamic extremists are determined to kill you.
They're determined to kill you.
And telling you for months that ISIS is coming for you.
Right, because ISIS has been around for months, but yeah, ISIS is coming to get you.
Here I come, baby. I'm coming to get you.
Coming to get you, Hendrix.
I don't believe in that boogeyman shit. They ain't doing shit. I don't believe in that shit. Well, if somebody want to do some shit to you, they doing it. Them motherfuckers ain't talking about it, sending you tapes. I'm gonna fuck you up when I see you.
The CIA always creates the organization, the boogeyman, and the CIA always writes the script.
We're both CIA.
What?
CIA.
And we're also the rebels.
We're also the rebels.
It's at times impossible to separate media, CIA, public relation firms, government propaganda.
When you hear aspects of the script written and performed by CIA operatives, guns being fired in the air, brand new AK-47s with brand new uniforms, making videotapes and press statements. That's the script, man.
And that's a script, whether or not it's CIA or other front groups or groups that like I showed you in my last show, the Jamestown Foundation, and now they have the McCain Institute. I mean, these seemingly are all they're so similar that they're all working together and they're all part of the same thing. You call it what you will. This is the global government criminals groups that they fund with the money they steal from us, and that's an unlimited amount of money because they have all the slaves, whether you're rich or poor, working for them because we're sending them their money, and they give it to these jerk offs who create, whether you want to call them what you will, and they have scripted nonsense that they regurgitate to you. It's like, oh, be scared of this, be scared of that, and they come across as authorities and as experts, and that's how it works. Carrying on. So Professor Griff, who is arguably I can't. But anyway, he was from one of the hip hop groups, Public Enemy. He's saying that it's all scripted, and that I am quite sure of myself. Carrying on.
When you hear aspects of the script written and performed by CIA operatives, guns being fired in the air, brand new AK-47s with brand new uniforms, making videotapes and press statements. That's the script, man.
That's a script, man.
It is written. Nothing is written.
It's written all right, that's for sure.
ISIS employs some of the world's foremost intelligence analysts, covert operatives, and scientists.
Okay, that's from a show called Archer, which I don't watch TV on the regs, but when I found this show called, when I was searching, doing my little research about ISIS, I found that there was a cartoon called Archer, which is a very popular cartoon and frankly very funny, a little bit raunchy for the more wholesome of my listeners. However, it is kind of it is relatively clever and funny, and they're the name. So they're a secret intelligence agency, and called ISIS. And Archer is the main character. His mother works there, and he works there. He's the John Benjamin character voice, whose voice on Family Guy and on the Bob's Burgers show, which I've used also. Anyway, he's very well known and popular, and he says that. So he works for ISIS, and he says ISIS employs all the covert operatives and analysts and scientists.
ISIS employs some of the world's foremost intelligence analysts, covert operatives, and scientists.
It's all interwoven. Carrying on.
This is a war we're fighting. It is not a counterterrorism operation. This is not Somalia. This is not Yemen. This is a turning point in the war on terror. Our strategy will fail yet again. This president needs to rise to the occasion before we all get killed back here at home.
Before we all get killed from this total jerk off, Lindsey Graham. He's like, and he says it is a war, not a counterterrorism effort, because the lady Suzanne Rice said it's a counterterrorism effort. I'll use that clip in another show in a later part of the ISIS series. However, so Lindsey Graham's like, it's not a counter, it's a war, and he said we're all gonna get killed by two guys from ISIS. Again, some Boogieman stuff. Keep it going. So, Lindsey Graham, we're all going to get killed, Lindsey. Carry on. Keep it going.
We can't erase every trace of evil from the world, and small groups of killers have the capacity to do great harm.
Oh, yeah.
They have the single most sophisticated media campaign that the U.S. government has ever tried to combat. Across two administrations and multiple parties, no administration has been able to effectively counter their media campaign.
Right, so that's the McCain Institute. That's this psychopath lady, Fran Townsend. She's all over the news, whether she's representing the McCain Institute. That's the John McCain Institute, just for the record, in case you needed to know how psycho this whole thing is. And she said that ISIS has such a sophisticated media campaign that the United States government is outmatched, okay, which is just absolutely ridiculous, okay? And I'm going to leave it at that. I don't even want to, I mean, I can't even believe that the fact that she can say that and get away with it is more than insane to me, because yes, if a person comes up to me, which will be many, well, like, oh, Mitch, you don't believe that that ISIS has a sophisticated media campaign? I'm like, no, what? Compared to the United States government? Are you kidding me? Okay, that's just a tip off to show you what nonsense they're pumping at you, for me to have to even stop and explain that is beyond my belief whatsoever already. But I understand that now. I understand that the people I know, and who are, like I said, who are very successful, very nice people, very intelligent people, have lost their minds. Okay? Anyway, so she said it's so sophisticated, the United States government's outmatched by ISIS.
They have the single most sophisticated media campaign that the U.S. government has ever.
Right, but they're kicking me off Facebook, and they block my videos on YouTube. But ISIS is so sophisticated. They can nobody's on to them at all. They're outmatching everybody else. And Little Max Red, rather than me getting 100 listens on my or 200 or 300 listens on my, or they're on to me, but they're not on to ISIS. Okay, and again, and because they're the biggest, they're outmatching the United States government, which is just, if you believe that, you better get some help. Okay, you better.
Tried to combat. Across two administrations and multiple parties, no administration has been able to effectively counter their media campaign.
Hey, Dad. What are you doing?
Oh, just listening to my boy, Glenn Beck.
outside of nuclear weapons, the most horrific weapon that we have, and neutron weapon, of conventional weapons, I think, is the fuel air bomb. Most people don't know about the fuel air bomb. It's a really terrifying weapon. And it actually, it sprays fuel in the air just above the ground. And once it sprays it out, then the bomb explodes and ignites the sky above the troops. And it actually eats up all of the oxygen in the air. So it removes the air from the lungs of everybody fighting. That's the last thing you do, is you're looking up and you can't breathe anymore. There's no air, and then it rains fire on you. It's a horrific, horrific bomb.
That's gonna scare you, believe me.
The president's own Secretary of Defense says the threat from ISIS is imminent to every interest we have, and not just in Iraq, anywhere.
They are an imminent threat to every interest.
Here's Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda minister of.
They are an imminent threat to every interest we have, whether it's in Iraq or any.
Sorry, I screwed that one up. Let's play that. So first of all, so he's like, my boy Glenn Beck, and then Glenn Beck talks about the fuel air bomb is our most horrific weapon. I don't know what kind of garbage that is. Okay, and he makes it sound like there's a bunch like we're fighting out in like a field or something, like they line up the troops like in the Civil War with the muskets or something like that, and then it sucks your air right out of your lungs. Great googly moogly. Oh my God.
That's gonna scare you, believe me.
The president's own Secretary of Defense says the threat from ISIS is imminent to every interest we have, and not just in Iraq, anywhere.
They are an imminent threat to every interest we have, whether it's in Iraq or anywhere else.
Okay, and then she says so Hagel just repeated what she was repeating what he said, but she said the president's own Secretary of Defense, because Hagel has no credibility. So, but people for whatever reason love Obama so much. And again, I am not one of these. I know that on Fox TV they will bash Obama all day long. Okay, so I am, and so then you hear me calling Obama a complicit criminal, then you'll be like, oh well, Max, you'll dismiss it and say, oh well, Max is Republican, or Max is a conservative, or Max is listens or agrees with everything on Fox. Well, that couldn't be nothing could be farther from the truth. Okay, I'm looking at it in a different way, which people should understand, is that Obama is the progeny. He's a child. He's a children related closely to the ruling aristocracy of the United States and frankly in the world, which is this Rockefeller camp and Queen and British and European royalty camp, which I've made clear, and more than clear in every show, is the obvious controllers of everything, and the ones who are bringing us all this garbage. Okay, and they're the ones terrorizing us. So anyway, so back to that. So Obama. So because he's so popular, she has to say the president's own Secretary of Defense, because if she just said here's the Secretary of Defense, everybody would tune it out, because people are so programmed to bite at the hot points or the stuff like, if Obama said it, then listen. Because they don't even know what a Secretary of Defense is, let alone who it is. So they don't know who Hagel is. Let's just carry that on. I'll play that one more time and I'll keep rolling.
The president's own Secretary of Defense says the threat from ISIS is imminent to every interest we have, and not just in Iraq, anywhere.
And keep that in mind that he said the president's own Secretary of Defense says it's a threat from ISIS.
They are an imminent threat to every interest we have, whether it's in Iraq or anywhere else.
He said they're an imminent threat.
Here's Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda minister of Nazi Germany. Propaganda must therefore always be essential and repetitious. It must confine itself to a few points and repeat them over and over.
So I think that with this ideology that we're faced with, this is like street gangs, street thugs on steroids.
Okay, here's an expert. He's the duck hunter, Phil Robertson, who I told you before, and I'll tell you again, and I have personal knowledge of this. This is, for whatever it's worth, I have personal knowledge of this from, of course, that's who a friend who is a giant executive out west in the Hollywood business, told me that Phil Robertson is, whether you like what, I don't care what you think, because I know this is from about as reliable a source as you can get. Phil Robertson is Gene Hackman, okay? That's just for starters. But then they got him on Fox News, and he's like, well, and he's an expert. I thought he's a duck hunter making duck calls, and he's an expert on ISIS now.
So I think that with this ideology that we're faced with, this is like street gangs, street thugs on steroids.
Okay, and if you geniuses think that that's an expert on anything, that's not only an actor, that's a tippy-top brilliant actor who does a great job with his Phil Robertson character. But that's what you guys are watching, and they put that on Fox, and you don't turn that TV off. Okay, you could have gobbled that up down whole, I guess. So they're a bunch of street thugs on steroids. And I'm like, I'm sorry, folks, but not only is his character should be discrediting enough that he shouldn't be on Fox News talking about ISIS to begin with. I thought, listen, doesn't this guy, I thought he's in the swamps catching ducks. Or making his duck calls, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever read in my life. But not only that, but then he has time to now that he's so famous, because his show blew up. Now he's on Fox telling you about ISIS. What is wrong with people? Here we go, and here's okay. So Phil Robertson's like, yeah, man.
So I think that with this ideology that we're faced with, this is like street gangs, street thugs on steroids.
Yeah, this ideology.
ISIL is a death cult. It's a gang of terrorist murderers.
Okay, that was George Galloway. So he went from they're an imaginary army to a gang of death cult murderers.
ISIL is a death cult. It's a gang of terrorist murderers.
These are deranged mental individuals.
ISIS indeed are made up of murderous psychopaths.
The fact is, this is about psychopathic terrorists that are trying to kill us.
These are all from the British Parliament, and you've heard what I mean. I'll tell you who's the psychopath murderers who are trying to kill us. Their names are like Bill Gates, Rockefeller, the Rockefeller Foundation Group, the European royalty, and they're all related, and the Bushes and the Clintons. They're the ones who are psychopath murderers, not ISIS, who's made up.
These are deranged mental individuals.
ISIS indeed are made up of murderous psychopaths.
The fact is, this is about psychopathic terrorists that are trying to kill us.
Most feared terrorists in the world.
This terrorist army
seizing control of city after city.
We've never seen anything like this.
This is Al-Qaeda times 2. Even Al-Qaeda says ISIS is too violent.
They're bloodthirsty, radical Islamic jihadists. ISIS is pure evil.
The ISIS is like a cancer.
Looks like they're unstoppable.
The Islamic State is not merely a terrorist group. It is an irregular army using terrorist tactics. The documented atrocities include kidnappings, beheadings, crucifixions, torture, slavery, rape, and summary mass executions.
ISIS captured military depots, equipment, and weapons.
They learned how to self-finance.
They use social media as a weapon.
And I have to tell you, that ISIS can do almost anything.
we're reporting that there's looting, raping, and yes, even acts of cannibalism.
My God, you've actually seen people looting, raping, and eating each other.
No, we haven't actually seen it, Tom. We're just reporting it.
But now the fight's on, because ISIS is so barbaric, so dangerous, that it can no longer be ignored.
ISIS released an alarming new propaganda video, once again showing the utter brutality of ISIS, which humiliates, kills, and celebrates its barbarism.
What they threaten to do to all Americans and Europeans, what they are doing now, I don't know any other way to describe it other than barbaric.
How are you going to convince people that this war is real? He says, but the media can convince everybody it's real. I mean, it's just that you keep talking about things, you keep saying it over and over and over again, and eventually people believe it.
In my line of work, you got to keep repeating things over and over and over again for the truth to sink in.
What do we do to combat this? They seem to be social media masterminds. What can our intelligence community do to stop it?
The U.S. government does not have the capability in a strategic, operational, and tactical way to do that. Not in the State Department, not in AID. It doesn't exist. And that's the kind of thing you need. You need to have that sort of flexible, targeted, tactical capability if you want to counter this narrative. And they're just better at this than we are right now.
They are. We're no match for them.
Shit, they're lying to us!
I don't think it's a few bad apples argument. I think if you have to have a clear eye at what's happening in the world around you, and Islam, as one of the great major religions, is providing a disproportionate share of radical nutbags killing people right now.
I've been telling you for 2 years that Islamic extremists are determined to kill you, and telling you for months that ISIS is coming for you.
Here I come, baby. I'm coming to get you.
This is a message to Canada and all the American Tawagheet. We are coming and we will destroy you, bidnillahi ta'ala.
It is the will of Allah.
I'm back, Obama, and I'm back because of your arrogant foreign policy towards the Islamic State.
This thing is the biggest joke that you ever heard of in your life.
I got this real moron thing I do. It's called thinking. And I'm not a very good American because I like to form my own opinions. I don't just roll over when I'm told to.
Your country's foreign policy is despicable. Your culture is crude, and your gluttony and greed make me sick.
You are so hot.
They are ruthless, fanatical killers on a mission. And that mission is to wipe out anyone and everyone from any other religion or belief system and to impose Sharia law. The mass executions, beheadings, and even crucifixions that they are committing as they work towards this goal are flaunted like badges of pride, videotaped and uploaded for the whole world to see. This is the new face of evil.
Oh, wasn't that scary? Ooh, I got scared, kids. Oh.
There was no shortage of dead bodies around ISIS.
Remember, these guys are unstoppable.
It's just that you keep talking about things, you keep saying it over and over and over again, and eventually people believe it.
They're doing everything they please with us, raping us, sexually abusing us, and that the ISIS men would tell them, if you do not convert, we will rape you all and sell you all to ISIS militants in Syria, where a young girl could be sold for about $800.
When she heard that, Nadia took advantage of a blackout and escaped from the building.
Yeah, so now she's on 60 Minutes, and so they have and then she said when I heard they were raping and selling women for $800, she said and there was a blackout and I escaped. Yeah, that's how I just jumped up and ran out of there and they didn't catch me. And that's on 60 Minutes, and that's more than just absolute nonsense. Like, you're an absolute idiot.
And if you believe it, You are one of the stupidest jerks that ever lived on the face of this earth.
They sell girls as young as 9, she says. Some men bought many at once. 2 of my friends hanged themselves from the ceiling fans, and 1 slit her wrists rather than be sold for sex.
Yeah, so little kids are hanging themselves, women no less, little girls are hanging themselves from ceiling fans, and again, that's on the BBC. I'm like, yeah, that's believable. But now, the selling women into slavery thing has been a boogeyman issue or approach that the social engineering propagandists for dummies people have been going on with for a long time, because in Gunsmoke, which is a great show that I've always loved, and I get good stuff out of that. The boogeyman back then was the Indians, and we need to justify genocidally exterminating the Indian population of this land. So they were doing the same thing. They were selling women into slavery, white women into slavery on Gunsmoke, and so they were selling 9-year-olds for sex, and they killed themselves on the ceiling fans.
They sell girls as young as 9, she says. Some men bought many at once. 2 of my friends hanged themselves from the ceiling fans, and 1 slit her wrists rather than be sold for sex.
Right, that's what our Muslims do, not what rich stockbrokers do, or anything like that. Of course not.
You got any idea where they're taking them?
They'd be better off killed. There's a place where people are being traded and sold like livestock. Slave market.
Let me see the last.
No.
Easy, just let me see the last. 2 jugs of whiskey, 2 rifles. Done.
Please, I'm her mother. You can't. No.
It's an effective scenario that I guess pulls the heartstrings of women and maybe men too. They're like, oh, they're selling my daughter into slavery.
There was a story in a paper today claiming that they had been married off to some of the Islamic extremists at a ceremony where they were sold for 2,000 naira, which is about $12.
Okay, that was a clip from my Boko Haram show. So that's another thing. So in Nigeria they only sell them for $12, but in ISIS they sell them for $800. So I guess an Arabic 9-year-old is more valuable than a Nigerian 18-year-old, 17, 16-year-old, or whatever they said, 14-year-old. So that's just more twisted stuff. Just some more twisted stuff for you.
We just need cash.
Clinton?
Every day or 2, men would come in and make us take off our headscarves so they could choose which of us they wanted. Many were raped. They were dragged out of the house by their hair, she says. We don't know what became of them.
Yeah, and that's not some made-up produced nonsense. No, that's real. Of course it is. That's a legitimate BBC interview where she interprets it in her compelling British accent, and then you have some Arabic jibber jabber in the background, which is inaudible, and that's believable. Sure it is.
This is pretty scary stuff, huh?
What about the other members of your family?
This is 60 Minutes, which is certainly a very honorable and credible news source. And people are like, oh, Max, you didn't even believe 60 Minutes? I'm like, well, if you listen to this garbage, no. How could I?
My sisters, 2 of them whom I
You
speak
better believe it. I have no doubt in my mind it's nonsense.
with at times, who somehow snuck a phone through, have no idea where our mother is.
Okay, so one of them was snuck out. She escaped when they had a power outage, and then she went right to 60 Minutes and did an interview. Now this one's like, well, I spoke to my sister because she somehow snuck a phone through, and then she's on 60 Minutes also doing interviews. Whatever. How convenient. For 60 Minutes is really on the ball. Let me tell you, folks.
About the other members of your family.
My sisters, 2 of them whom I speak with at times, who somehow snuck a phone through, have...
speak to them at times when they, when they get it, when they snuck a charger through also.
No idea where our mother is.
You don't believe that just because it was on TV, right?
You can witness what the ISIS is doing, which is the most dangerous terrorist organization, unrivaled in the whole world in terms of funding and brutality. What it's doing to Syrians and Iraqis of all spectra and religions. They enslave girls, they rape them, they rape women, and they sell them in slave markets. They cut heads and limbs. They teach children slaughter and murder, besides destroying historical and cultural monuments, as well as Islamic and Christian symbols.
Okay, that was the Syrian representative to the United Nations, who's now doesn't represent al-Assad because, of course, he's persona non grata at the United Nations at this point, I would imagine. So anyway, that was this year. That was September, last month, and he's obviously reading a script. So for anybody who thinks the United Nations is anything, and I've made that abundantly clear in all my shows, and I've analyzed all these United Nations, and I went from the General Assembly this year and in years past. These are all staged, scripted, and then the interpreters aren't interpreters at all. They're just reading a script also. And so Al-Walid, the Syrian representative, he's like, oh yes, ISIS is at beheading, and so he's all on board with our garbage propaganda.
What are you trying to say, Marshal? That the Indian is in love with a girl?
Could be something like that.
Then that shows how much you know about Indians. They don't have any more feelings than a dog.
Is that so?
Of course it is. They wouldn't know how to love a woman. They use them like animals, that's all. That's why he hated to lose her.
And now Mary said that he treated her pretty well.
Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Then you are a fool.
Okay, so that was from Gunsmoke too, and again, Indians were the boogeyman du jour back in the day. But one of the reasons why I really do love this show, and I'm a city boy. I was growing up in the metropolis in New York, and I never really watched Gunsmoke when I was a kid. But when I got older, I started checking it out and watching it out, and the character Matt Dillon, the sheriff or the marshal, so to speak, the Marshal Dillon, Matt Dillon, is he always does the right thing, and he's a good man, and he's a good guy, okay, and so this other guy's trying to say, well, the Indians are all a bunch of dogs and scum. He's like, well, that's that's not the way I see it, and that's not what they told. That's not what this girl told me. He was like, that girl, they are raping and abuse their women, and he's like, well, I just spoke to the girl, and she said no. She said he treats her well. And he said the criminal that's actually a guy in the American Army, and he was like, that doesn't has no bearing on what I think of all soldiers, because I know soldiers are just people who are working hard doing their thing. But this guy was saying he was the captain or the colonel of the army, and he was like, "Oh, they're all a bunch of animals, and they all abuse women, this and that." And Marshall Dillon's like, "Well, that's not really and they're all dogs. They treat women like dogs." And Marshall Dillon was like, "Well, that's not really the evidence suggests otherwise."
What are you trying to say, Marshal? That the Indian is in love with a girl?
Could be something like that.
Then that shows how much you know about Indians. They don't have any more feelings than a dog.
Is that so?
Of course it is. They wouldn't know how to love a woman. They use them like animals, that's all.
And we're doing the same thing with these Muslims. They're like, oh, Muslim men are bad to women, or black men are bad to women. And evidence suggests, I'm not going to say that doesn't mean, oh, and research says, Max said white men are bad to women. I'm saying no. It's pretty much there's people most people are all kind people, and the 99.9999% of the people I meet are kind people in general. And there's bad apples in every group, and I don't think it has any racial preference or stereotype at all. And you know what? In fact, I'm quite sure of that. I'm sure that a bunch of people have been brainwashed into believing, and they love. They're like, oh, you know how those Arabs are, you know how those Muslims are, you know how those black people are, and you know what? There's no evidence of any of that. In fact, these people love their wives, and I speak to many because I'm in a very culturally diverse city. I speak to many people of all types, many Asians, many Muslims, many different people of different backgrounds. And they're very sweet, kind people of all types, and I've learned to not stereotype any of them in that regard. Especially, in fact, if I'm going to stereotype them or generalize any of them, all of them, I will say I meet the sweetest, kindest people of all types, all over.
That's why he hated to lose her.
And Mary said that he treated her pretty well.
Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Then you are a fool.
You have to let us go, Golden Face. We have families.
Ha! This is gonna show them that I mean business.
Oh, put it on our TV, it's true. Put it on our TV, it's true.
You want to know who Fred Krueger was? He was a filthy child murderer who killed at least 20 kids in the neighborhood. Kids we all knew.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
After taking us about 300 yards away from the school, they stopped by an open field and told us to get out and lay flat on your stomach, and we did. Then, after we laid flat, about 10 ISIS fighters stood behind us and started firing all types of guns.
One by one, they said, no survivors. If any survivors, they would come around and shoot them in the head. They shot us with all types of guns.
Except for the survivors that are doing the interviews. It's so stupid.
I was shot 5 times.
Twice in the knee, once in the thigh, once in the back, and a graze to the neck.
Left for dead, then back, and then in the studios at 60 Minutes right away. Yeah, that's how it works.
After taking us about 300...
It might happen. Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt. It might happen. Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Teenage terror is on the rise, but this time it's young girls joining the fight alongside Islamic extremists.
A lot of young girls joining ISIS now too on Fox. That's believable. Like, young girls don't have enough things to worry about. They're flying out there. They're going to leave their parents and they're not going to become runaways and end up in a bus station at the Port Authority in New York. No, they're going to end up in Syria fighting for ISIS. Whatever. I can't even get, I'm sorry, but people are way too distracted for that. People are way too distracted to even listen to any word of reason, let alone run out to Syria to fight for ISIS. This is so absurdly ridiculous, and yet this is legitimate mainstream news that people are watching. Fox is getting millions of viewers a day, and they're watching, and people are watching this, and people are like, oh, Max, you're crazy. I'm crazy? Are you nuts? This is okay. Again, 9-year-old girl, or your little girls are flying to.
Teenage terror is on the rise, but this
teenage female terror is on the rise. Okay, and they're going out. I mean, even if you. Which is beyond belief to me anyway, that anybody would have that notion. But even if you did, I couldn't even imagine. I can't even. They're kicking me off Facebook, let alone me flying out to Syria to fight for ISIS. That's the most ridiculous thing. But that's the way that's what you're being told, and that's what you're regurgitating to me like a moron. And that's why I have to look at people dumbfoundedly and be like, oh my goodness gracious me, I don't even know what to say. But anyway, this you're gonna learn something in this show, hopefully, if you'll listen. Keep it going.
Terror is on the rise, but this time it's young girls joining the fight alongside Islamic extremists. The latest, 2 Austrian teenagers, one just 14 years old, and many believe they're being inspired by this dangerous duo.
Okay, so this is obviously a made-up story, and why they've been going with Austrians and Germans. That has a Nazi correlation. Let's just keep it going from there. So let me throw that out there.
Samra and Sabina, two young girls who serve as a recruitment tool on social media. And this problem, not limited to European countries. Just last week, a 19-year-old from Colorado pleaded guilty to charges claiming she tried to join ISIS.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Colorado 19-year-old girl tried to join ISIS and got convicted. I'm not sure if it's a thought crime. Tried to join. You see, there you go. That's interesting. She tried to join, or she was thinking of joining a group, and I guess she was convicted of thought crime in Colorado.
Suicide missions remain popular by the group, although the use of suicide belts is down. The use of suicide car bombs is up.
That's from the Suicide Bomber Statistics Bureau. Of course, she said suicide belts are down and suicide car bombs are up. This is from, again, that's from that psychopath Fran Townsend, who's works at the McCain Institute. I can't believe these are adults getting paid, whatever, probably more than you or I, which is, listen, whatever. I mean, listen, a job's a job, but whatever. I mean, I don't even want to know. I hope I never find out what Fran Townsend gets paid, because I guess being in the honest and the truth and the intellectual discussion business is a dead end road compared to the garbage psychopath business.
Suicide missions remain popular by the group, although the use of suicide belts is down. The use of suicide car bombs is up.
Okay, now I'm getting into a segment here where I just started you off with where suicide belt bombings are down, and from the Suicide Bombing Statistics Bureau, and the car suicide bombs are up. From, that's a general. She just throws it out there because there's so many, and I will argue that I won't argue. I will tell you whether you like it or not that there are no suicide bombers. Period. We'll just carry on from there. But now I'm getting to a segment of repeated, absolutely insane nonsense. Okay, again, coming from adults who are in very high places. Okay, that was Fran Townsend. She's all over the place, from the McCain Institute of all things, and that's the John McCain Institute. Like he's credible. And then now I'm going to give you a clip from CNN. And several, and it doesn't, and then there's one from NBC. It doesn't get any more insanely ridiculous for absolute morons. And this is one of these things that just blows my mind, because I will try to I will actually play these clips for friends of mine and people who are extremely intelligent, or at least used to be, because when I grew up with them, they were A students. I was an A student. They were too. Okay, and they were always very bright. And if you ever ask me, do you think so and so is you're smarter than so and so, I would say no. I thought I was very smart too, but I always considered him my equal in intellectually. And not just him. I'm not talking about anybody specifically. I know many people, even people I don't know as well as that, who think that I'm patronizing to them because I or condescending to them because I get impatient and I'm like, I can't even talk to you at all about this. But then they look at me like, oh, you think I'm an idiot or something like that? I'm like, no, I don't. That's even more insane to me. Okay, then I know you're not an idiot. I know you're a smart person. I know you're very bright. Okay, but there's something going on here where people are just absolutely lost their minds, and they can't break. You know what? They can't break out of the TV thing now, and they can't even open their minds. Now, what is that? What makes them be like that? I'm not sure, because I actually was like that too. So maybe they just break out of it one day, or eventually. I'm not sure what triggers it. I was always trying to figure that out for myself. Let's just carry on. So we're going into an insane. If it wasn't so funny, it would be disturbing. I think it is disturbing. If there's such a thing as dark and disturbing humor, this segment of the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone is just that. So let's just start off again Fran Psycho Townsend, okay, and that's it's probably Fran. I'm going to call her Fran P. Townsend because she's a psycho, okay, and yet she gets out there and just sells it, and she's all over the place. Like, well, people are embracing what she says. I can't even comprehend how. If you can't figure out that this sounds like nonsense to you, I'm not sure. Okay, so listen, the suicide bomber thing was stupid enough. This is just a taste. Wait till you hear the rest of this. Let's go.
Suicide missions remain popular by the group, although the use of suicide belts is down. The use of suicide car bombs is up.
The Boston man wanted for questioning in connection with ISIS and its grisly propaganda spoke frequently with friends about waging jihad against America and U.S. troops. Ahmed Abu Samra, Pal Tarek Mahana, and others often spoke in code according to court documents. Culinary school was code for training camps. Peanut butter and jelly, code for jihad. Listen as Mahana talks to another English speaker apparently in Somalia who tells him to come fight.
Well, right now I'm in a culinary school and I just make peanut butter and jelly. Right.
Okay, so there's so much in that little stupid clip. Okay, first of all, he's from Boston. Let's just go moving on from there now. So culinary school is code for training camp. Okay, and then peanut butter and jelly is code for jihad. So what they're first going to say is that these stupid towelheads are so dumb that they think you make peanut butter and jelly in culinary school, which is so, or they're so dumb that they don't even realize that we're so smart because we're Americans and we're intelligence. American intelligence can't pick up on that, so that they're going to be like everybody in the CIA knows that, or the NSA knows that that you don't make peanut butter and jelly in culinary school. This is so twisted. Okay, and then not only that, then they have a phone call taped or something, where he says, he's in Somalia. Okay, this is so crazy. Okay, I told you thought the suicide belt thing was stupid. Okay, and he's from Boston, so he's got a little bit of a Boston accent, which is kind of funny either way. That because then people the minute you're from Boston, you have that little bit of that Boston accent, you'll believe it. Like, I parked the car yesterday, and I heard that guy. That sounds like that guy I parked the car next to, or whatever. I'm sorry, I don't have a very good my Boston thing. I have no beef with Boston at all. However, so what I'm trying to get at is that this is the way that they give you like a taste of something you're comfortable with, and then I guess you just turn your brain off and you just stop listening. Okay, and I'm sure you stopped listening on that one. There was so much in that little 35-second clip. It's insane. Okay, and let's just play that again and we'll keep the show going. It's on CNN. Is culinary school means terror training camp, and peanut butter and jelly means jihad clip.
The Boston man wanted for questioning in connection with ISIS and its grisly propaganda spoke.
Grisly propaganda of ISIS, of course, yeah, because ISIS is a propaganda industry, not this garbage that we're being told by not CNN.
Frequently with friends about waging jihad against America.
Okay, let me start this again. Waging jihad.
The Boston man wanted for questioning in connection with ISIS and its grisly propaganda spoke frequently with friends about waging jihad against America and U.S. troops. Ahmed Abu Samra, Pal Tarek Mahana, and others often spoke in code according to court documents. Culinary school was code for training camps. Peanut butter and jelly, code for jihad. Listen as Mahana talks to another English speaker apparently in Somalia who tells him to come fight.
Well, right now I'm in a culinary school and I just make peanut butter and jelly. Right.
He's like, right. And that, first of all, does that guy sound like Abu Tarek Mahana, whatever. And he's like, right now I'm going to call her. And so I don't know where they got that tape from. Did the CIA clip that one and then send it in to them, to CNN, and they played it with the peanut butter jelly? This is, you see, that's so stupid. They think you are, okay? And you know what? Frankly, if I can't, I should, you see, this is one of those type of clips where I should be like, well, I should just stop the show right now, okay? Because if you can't get past this one, then you've lost your mind. But you know what, though? This show is only clips like that. And you know what? Let me just keep it going. I know I'm stuck on this one. This is insane to me. This is just, this is just one clip in the segment. All right, let's start with Suicide Belts, and we'll go from the peanut butter and jelly culinary school, and then we'll go from there.
Suicide missions remain popular by the group. Although the use of suicide belts is down, the use of suicide car bombs is up.
The Boston man wanted for questioning in connection with ISIS and its grisly propaganda spoke frequently with friends about waging jihad against America and U.S. troops. Ahmed Abu Samra, Pal Tarek Mahana, and others often spoke in code according to court documents. Culinary school was code for training camps. Peanut butter and jelly, code for jihad. Listen as Mahana talks to another English speaker apparently in Somalia who tells him to come fight.
Well, right now I'm in a culinary school and I just make peanut butter and jelly. Right.
Why, that's ridiculous.
Other court records show Pakistan was referred to as P-Town. Yemen was the YMCA. And the FBI was referred to as Bob or Brian.
Secret code.
Pretty incredible. As you heard, peanut butter and jelly referred to jihad.
How dumb can you, how stupid can you be?
I can't believe I let you scare me into taking your side. You used fear to make me stop believing in free speech.
This Syrian city is the center of ISIS's power. According to accounts of people inside Raqqa, ISIS terrorizes them every day. This is what residents routinely see: crucifixions of non-believers, the severed heads of ISIS enemies displayed on poles.
Are scenes like this and public crucifixions still commonplace in Raqqa?
Yes, they are. Unfortunately, the number of crucifixions have gone up as well as decapitations, and they're for anyone who opposes the Islamic State.
This Syrian city is the center of ISIS's power. According
33-year-old Douglas MacArthur McCain.
33, that's their number, and we won't go too into that, but he's 33 years old. His name is Douglas MacArthur McCain. So he's MacArthur, Douglas MacArthur, who is a legendary general and somebody who as a great general as he was, or as a victorious leader of war, he actually spoke out against some of the corruption within the military as well, and that's why. So anyway, so he's Douglas MacArthur McCain, and he's 33. This is ridiculous.
33-year-old Douglas MacArthur McCain had gone to Syria to join the ISIS jihad.
McCain. Yeah, and he went to Syria and joined the ISIS jihad. Yeah, that's how you do it. I mean, you know what? Seriously, I am a very astute researcher. I promise you that if I tried to join ISIS, I would never be able to figure out how to get to these people. Anyway, I can't even get to somebody who can give me free movies on the internet or some stupid thing like that. Okay, whatever that means. This is just insane. So his name is Douglas MacArthur McCain, and he's 33, and he went to join. He just jumped on a plane, because that's what people do who are lost and confused. They have plane ticket money. And I just sent him. He's like, hey, I'm out here in Minnesota. Can you send me $2,000 for a plane ticket? And they're like, sure. And that's how ISIS works. Right.
33-year-old Douglas MacArthur McCain had gone to Syria to join the ISIS jihad.
McCain. So wait a minute. They're recruiting Americans?
He grew up in Minnesota, and nothing on his Facebook page hints why he decided to sacrifice his life for jihad.
If he didn't say it on his Facebook page, then this is really crazy.
33-year-old Douglas McAuliffe McCain had gone to Syria to join the ISIS jihad.
McCain. So wait a minute. They're recruiting Americans?
He grew up in Minnesota, and nothing on his Facebook page hints why he decided to sacrifice his life for jihad. McCain's likes included Pizza Hut, the Chicago Bulls, and the Koran.
Pizza Hut, Chicago Bulls, and the Koran. Just absorb and digest this nonsense. I'm not sure how much stupider you'd like it to get. And you know what? I'm not going to keep dwelling on that, even though I could forever. This is just rewind it and listen to that again. This is insanity.
According to the New York Times, the group has quietly built an effective management structure of mostly middle-aged Iraqis, and their leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, has been described as a balding middle-aged man.
Okay, so now they're going to relate that age group and that group of men in America tend to be the ones who would speak out against all this garbage lies in the media. So they're going to put that notion in your head that people who are middle 30s and 40s. People who speak out against like this nonsense, well, you know what, you're going to be like, oh, that guy's a terrorist.
In an austere intelligence agency lockup, we met the kind of man who joined ISIS. We didn't know what to expect, but it turned out he wasn't a young fanatic. He was a middle-aged real estate agent from Mosul.
There you go, and that was from 60 Minutes. Like, oh, so he's like, so now you know a middle-aged real estate agent person, friend of yours who lives in, you've known since you're in high school or elementary school, and he's like, man, he's like, yo, Jim, or yo, Bill, or Bob, or whatever your name is, or Jason, or whatever, or Ira, or Max, or Carl, or Spike, or Butch. He says, you know, you really believe all this nonsense, this ISIS thing, and, you know, I don't believe it, and I have reason to believe those beheadings look fake to me and all this stuff. And then you're going to be like, oh, man, this guy, he's a real estate broker. He's probably in ISIS. Are
you kidding me?
And that's how it works.
How bin Laden lived in secret for all those years. For instance, to avoid detection, he at one point shaved off his world-famous beard. He bought his compound using a fake national ID card. When venturing outside, he liked to wear a wide-brimmed cowboy hat to avoid aerial detection.
Okay, that was on NBC, and that they told you that Osama bin Laden avoided capture for 10 years because he wore a wide-brimmed cowboy hat, and that's like, oh, he wore a cowboy hat? And again, you see, not only are they really insulting people, but I guess if you don't pick up on it, then maybe their insulting isn't good enough. I'm not sure what to say, except you see how this all works? Okay, they're like, oh, ISIS people are real estate brokers from Mosul, and they're balding 40-year-olds. Again, those are the people who wake up to these things. I guess that's why they're doing it, because kids don't know what the fuck's going on. They're playing around on watching, you know, whatever they're doing, and they're growing up. And older people aren't in the mix, so those are the people who should be blowing the whistle, but then they're gonna tell you, oh no, but if they're bald or if they're a real estate agent, they're probably a terrorist. Don't listen to a word they say. There you go. But I'm going to tell you, listen to me, because I'm going to tell you that Osama bin Laden had a fake ID, he shaved his beard, he wore a cowboy hat.
Of how bin Laden lived in secret for all those years. For instance, to avoid detection, he at one point shaved off his world-famous beard. He bought his compound using a fake national ID card. When venturing outside, he liked to wear a wide-brimmed cowboy hat to avoid aerial detection.
But I thank you for a most amusing day. You people have a delightful sense of the absurd.
They have seized more territory, geography, than any other terrorist group in history.
It seems that the pool of potential jihadists is now wider than ever before.
I mean, is this some kind of incredible joke that people are so stupid they'll fall for this?
Global terrorism, global terrorism, global terrorism, global terrorism, global terrorism, 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 terrorism.
The evil terrorists. Terrorists, 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 terrorists.
That's what repeated affirmations is. Say the lie over and over again with authority figures, and it starts to be believed.
But it's a reign of terror. I don't call it the war on terror. I call it the reign of terror. They always have a reign of terror when they want to quickly adjust society into a new system.
Do you believe in the Boogieman?
Bigfoot! Bigfoot!
Originally, this guy was deep inside Al-Qaeda's world. He was a true radical. Then he flipped and started working for the CIA, British intelligence, Danish intelligence. He was their most valuable agent in the period after 9/11, Aaron.
I mean, that is incredible. And what you learned about what was going on in Al-Awlaki's head, too, is also very bizarre. I mean, he was thrilled when he got this hot blonde wife, right?
Yeah, he wanted a convert, a European sister, to marry a third wife to share his life in the tribal areas of Yemen. So as he was plotting the underwear bombing attack, he was also emailing Mordenstern, this guy, all about this blonde European wife that he wanted. She wanted to marry Awlaki. He spotted her on a Facebook fan page for Awlaki and met her in Vienna. And Awlaki then sends an email to Storm saying she was better than expected.
Wow, wow. Well, that's incredible. And he's sitting talking about, you know, sex with his blonde wife while he's plotting the underwear attack. It's incredible. And this entire story defies belief.
So they're like, Awlaki is having sex with a hot blonde from Europe, and then she says at the last inch of the clip, she says, the last few words of the clip, she says that this whole story defies belief. Okay, I was like, oh, you should just, why did you just tell us that already? Okay, so she says, and okay, I'll just skip ahead to that. Look what she says.
Plotting the underwear attack. It's incredible, and this entire story defies belief.
It just defies belief. So again, yeah, right after all that garbage about Awlaki, because people are like, oh man, he's having sex with hot blonde chicks. Are you kidding me? He's a dirty, dark-haired, brown-eyed Arab.
Is there any doubt in your mind, each of you, that if ISIL had the capability to kill millions of Americans, they would do so?
There's no doubt in my mind. They'll kill anybody who doesn't conform to their narrow ideological bent.
I agree.
Okay, that was Lindsey Graham interviewing Dempsey, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and Hagel, and he says, "Is there any doubt that ISIS will just kill all of us? And you know, if you don't agree with if you don't convert to Islam?" And Dempsey's like, "Not if you don't convert to Islam." And then Hagel's like, "Yeah, I agree. These are people need to be put in jail for being lying criminal traitors. Period. Okay, all of them. I'm sorry, folks, all of them." These are criminal, lying, jerk-off, lying traitors.
ISIS outreach program is very different. They do the killing themselves, and they're very open about it. I mean, they almost revel in their violence.
And inshallah, after Sham, after Iraq, after Jazeera, we are going for you, Barack Obama. Takbir!
Yeah, that was from a Skype interview on Vice News, okay, which is another crock of nonsense. And I speak to friends about that, about Vice News. They're like, "Oh, you don't believe that?" I'm like, "What? Oh, this is..." Anyway. So that was a Skype interview. So they're interviewing some guy who's saying he wants to bomb New York, and they're interviewing him on Skype on Vice News. Are you kidding me? And it's such nonsense.
Here I come, baby. And inshallah, after Sham, after Iraq, after Jazeera, we are going for you, Barack Obama. Takbir!
Here I come, baby. I'm coming to get you.
Almighty ISIS.
Fear keeps us alive, Eep. Never not be afraid.
Ideas, the thoughts, and the opinions of the masses are being manipulated through fear.
The president released a statement today. One of our greatest freedoms is the freedom from fear, and he pledged to protect that freedom with all the reasons. The president released a statement today. One of our greatest freedoms is the freedom from fear, and he pledged to protect that freedom with all the reasons.
When I read about this horrifying group, and they're saying Allah Akbar, I mean, they're saying God is great, let's snatch this 13-year-old and sell her or kill her. It's beyond comprehension how evil this is.
And when you start seeing them talking about, you know, they said Allahu Akbar, they said Allahu Akbar, that's when my horns go up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, okay, wait a minute. Obviously, there's something more going on here. This is programming that's happening.
The problem with that, coupled with the uniforms and the guns, shooting the guns in the air, yelling Allahu Akbar. You understand what I'm saying? I see it. Then, to have the news sources, all of them read the same script coming from the Associated Press. There's a problem with that, coupled with the uniforms and the guns, shooting the guns in the air, yelling Allahu Akbar. You understand what I'm saying? I see it. Then, to have the news sources, all of them read the same script coming from the Associated Press.
Shut up, conspiracy theorist.
What you're saying is Islam is the problem.
Islam is the problem, correct.
Today it is violence within Muslim communities that has become the source of so much human misery.
They don't love me, and I don't love them, okay? Okay?
It does seem that the vast majority of terrorist incidents do involve some aspect of the Muslim world.
There's your bomber.
Who? Wait, where's
that guy? Beardsley McTurbanhead.
You idiot. That's Sandhu Singh, the billionaire investor. He's a Sikh.
When IS fighters took Mosul in neighboring Iraq, approximately 30,000 Christians fled, and their churches were destroyed.
Gonna get Christians like, oh, those damn Muslims.
Must know that Allah mentions in the Quran, in fact, if you look in...
Okay, so this guy is, I call him the fake imam, okay, and this is such nonsense garbage, but he was on RT, he was on Fox, and he was on one of the other networks, and he quotes Allah and he quotes the Quran, and this guy is full of crap, and this guy is not the imam, and he's a fake imam, and he is out there to make Muslims look like a bunch of murderers, and I told you, and when you know what the people, Bill Gates talks about killing 1 billion people, okay, 1 billion, okay, there many of the Prince Charles and the Queen are the biggest, you know, the Queen is, you know, she takes part in mass murder along with the ruling class of our country, the Rockefeller camp. They're mass murderers, okay? Hundreds of millions of people is a low estimate. Bill Gates brags and goes on and doesn't shut up about wanting to exterminate 1 billion people, which is 1,000 million, and we're going to get some jerk off on RT and on Fox, who's going to, and he claims he's an imam. There's no evidence of any of that. Obviously, well, forget about evidence of any of that. This is nonsense garbage, okay? And listen to what he says.
Must know that Allah mentions in the Quran, in fact, if you look in chapter 8, verse 60, He said, prepare as much as you can steeds of war to terrorize the enemy. So terrorizing the enemy is in fact part of Islam. I mean, this is something that we must embrace and understand.
I don't like your jerk-off name. I don't like your jerk-off face. I don't like your jerk-off behavior. And I don't like you. Jerk-off.
Yeah, so he's going to tell you that that Allah told us that we have to terrorize our enemies. That's nonsense, okay? And I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a apologist to for Muslims, and I'm not an expert on the Quran. But I'm telling you, I don't care if it was any other religion, I would tell you the same thing. That's a crock of nonsense, and you cannot take this jerk off's word for it, okay? Period. Okay, I don't care if he's on RT or not.
I don't like your jerk-off name. I don't like your jerk-off face. I don't like your jerk-off behavior. And I don't like you. Jerk-off.
In the Muslim world right now, there is a cancer that has grown for too long that suggests that it is acceptable to kill innocent people who worship a different God.
Yeah, and you believe it because Obama, and you're like, well, you think Obama would lie about that, Max? Yes. What do I think? I have no doubt in my mind. That was on 60 Minutes, which is full of lies.
There's a lot of Meshuggah Muslims, though, running around. Are there not?
It's everywhere.
Come to the propaganda of every cement-headed clown up and down this street. I said propaganda.
Can you pass for an Arab in an Arab town?
Yes, if one of you would lend me some dirty clothes.
Lawrence of Arabia?
That Arab laundryman, Joe Gurgis, is going to be coming over here after me. And when he comes, we got to make like there's nobody home, see? And from now on, Edith, don't you set foot in his laundry yet no more. I don't care what it costs, go to the chinks. Don't go near that Arab again. Not unless you got a dirty camel to wash. I'm going to shoot that Egyptian phone.
Gosh, he's not an Egyptian, he's a Syrian.
That's the same thing. They're born pirates, all of them.
It's okay to just say anything you want about them.
These are animals. They have to be killed and destroyed.
We will not allow savages to decimate the world. That is the message that must be sent.
The savages.
I'm saying that any man that stays there and exposes his family to them murdering savages is plumb crazy.
The Indians are savages, now the Muslims are savages, the Arabs are savages, or all Muslims are savages.
So really it's mankind against ISIL. It's just not us against ISIL or Sunni Arab states against ISIL. If you're a Christian in the region, they will kill you very quickly. Is that correct?
Unless you convert.
Okay.
That was the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Unless you convert, I mean, this is psycho that these people at such high level positions and are engaging in this garbage.
General, did you know that after yesterday's attack, half the parents in this country kept their kids out of school? They're attacking our way of life.
You boys don't understand anything. It's obvious that you all need Muslim sensitivity training.
The division of Democrat, Republican, Muslim, Christian, Autobot, Decepticon.
I'm just talking about the
blood, black, white. It's all bullshit because the bottom line is that Islam is not the threat. It's not a problem.
Sometimes people are very cruel to those who seem different.
Terror.
Terror.
Terror. War on terrorism. War against terrorism.
Global war on terror.
Global terrorism. 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 The evil terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists, 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 terrorists,
Terrorists, terrorists, terrorists, terrorists.
Terrorists.
terrorists, 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 terrorists.
Al-Qaeda, terrorists, terrorism. Vicious, evil act.
The explosion appears to be the work of terrorists. And if that is the case, like all Americans, I am outraged by it.
Fear is a motivator, and we are not fear-mongers. The Democrats are messengers of hope, and that's what we will continue to be.
Well, yeah, Nancy Pelosi's like, yeah, we're not fear-mongers. Of course not.
She's what you call a disinformation agent, just spouting bullshit everywhere. And that's the story.
My line of work, you got to keep repeating things over and over and over again.
for the truth to sink in.
Just, it pert near chokes you up in your craw. The things in here that they expect you to believe.
How long have you had this dream that you're a camel?
For years. Sometimes I'm a one-hump camel, and other times I'm a two-hump camel.
And how do you feel when you wake up?
Thirsty.
What are you, nuts?
Oh my God, there's nuts in this?
You're allergic to penicillin.
Oh, right. And...
There's no penicillin in this.
Good, because I'm allergic.
Because why the hell would there be penicillin in chocolate mousse?
Ugh, God, gross. There's moose in this?
Not that kind of mousse.
Elk, then. Whatever. Ugh.
Look, you...
Do you believe in the boogeyman?
Beheading, savagery in the today's world have no meaning and have no concept except that there is a group which in fact wants to do these acts for the interest of others or for the interest of themselves. They want to kill humanity.
That's the interpreter for Rouhani in the interview he did on TV right before the United Nations this year. Rouhani is the president, supposed president, and I've been telling you since his first speech last year at the United Nations that this guy is just a guy in a turban, and they have written scripts with psycho, nonsensical interpreters. I mean, what kind of interpreter is that? And again, I've told you before also that the Iranian people I've met in my life are quite elegant and quite intelligent and quite well educated, and this is nothing of the sort. And he is, of course, telling you that ISIS is a bunch of murdering, beheading criminals. And it's funny, and so he's agreeing with the peanut butter and jelly crowd.
This group has terrorized all who they come across in Iraq and Syria. Mothers, sisters, daughters have been subjected to rape as a weapon of war. Innocent children have been gunned down. Bodies have been dumped in mass graves. Religious minorities have been starved to death. In the most horrific crimes imaginable, innocent human beings have been beheaded with videos of the atrocity distributed to shock the conscience of the world.
And for the record, that's Obama at the United Nations this year again, just spewing the boogeyman hype on ISIL, and that's, if you want to tell me, oh yeah, but Max, he's you don't believe what, he's a good guy, he's intelligent, he went to Harvard or this, whatever. I mean, and these are, believe me, I'm repeating things that very bright people who I care for quite a lot have said to me, and I don't even know what to say to them anymore. I'm like, can't you see? He's full. You're not listening, obviously, because you're not listening. Okay, because this is a pile of crap. Again, the same people who brought you the there's more car suicide bombers than jacket suicide bombers, and peanut butter and jelly means jihad and at culinary school crowd, and the cowboy hat, and Osama bin Laden was a cowboy hat crowd. This is the same scripts, the same people, right? Saying the same, repeating the same garbage. Obama's one of them. Again, and I show you plenty of clips and showing you how Fox News is a bunch of morons and psychopaths combined and towing the same line. They're both on the same side. Can't you see that? Okay, and can you see that Obama's not on your side? And I'm not picking on him. It doesn't. I mean, if you think that I think Hillary's any better, or some Republicans any better, you're nuts. Okay, these are all the people that have been put in front of us. That's another show. But anyway, so he's hyping this is at his United Nations speech. I'll play it again. We'll keep the show going.
This group has terrorized all who they come across in Iraq and Syria. Mothers, sisters, daughters have been subjected to rape as a weapon of war. Innocent children have been gunned down. Bodies have been dumped in mass graves. Religious minorities have been starved to death. In the most horrific crimes imaginable, innocent human beings have been beheaded with videos of the atrocity distributed to shock the conscience of the world.
And again, I would argue, and I've said this in previous shows as well, and I'll say it again. I don't like to even, sometimes I say I would argue. It sounds good. I don't even like that term analogy for this, because what he's the people that the fake people that they've made up, that he pins these atrocious acts on are frankly these atrocious acts that he speaks of are nothing compared to the people that he's involved with or doing. Okay, they are damaging and murdering children with vaccines. Okay, they are damaging. We never had such a thing as autism when I was a kid. Now there's 1 in 50. Some people say 1 in 26 males, boys. Okay, I know for a fact that every single kid who's ever had any needle put in them in their life has been damaged by it, whether or not they're dysfunctional for the rest of their lives, God forbid. No, thank God they're not. But that doesn't mean that there's anything good in any of those. And these are the people who are doing it. Gage is out there telling people he wants to vaccinate 1 billion people and kill them all. And that's his and again, Obama's that's the group that we're being that's bringing us this stuff, and they're gonna make up some boogeyman fake person who then say that they do all that stuff. No, that's what they do. Okay, and again, they create these terrorists in their own image. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. Carrying on.
This group has terrorized all who they come across in Iraq and Syria. Mothers, sisters, daughters have been subjected to rape as a weapon of war. Innocent children have been gunned down. Bodies have been dumped in mass graves. Religious minorities have been starved to death. In the most horrific crimes imaginable, innocent human beings have been beheaded with videos of the atrocity distributed to shock the conscience of the world.
Mohammed Arif said ISIS rapes and enslaves Kurdish women. The men, mostly they just cut our heads off, he said.
They have done it again. The Sunni Muslim terrorists known as ISIS have executed another kidnapped American.
I think I did it again. I actually had to work at the hospital that day on Thanksgiving.
Okay, this is supposedly the sister of the beheaded Foley, and her brother's sitting there, and they're doing an interview. I don't really want to nitpick it because, I could, okay? There's so much wrong with this. It's so stupid, okay? It's so stupid. First of all, so not only she works at a hospital, but she's working on Thanksgiving at the hospital. This is, and this, none of it makes any sense. And again, the siblings of people going on TV with these nonsense is just, I'm not sure how much more ridiculous it can get before anybody rejects it, but apparently it works because they're not rejecting it, and I'm the crazy one, and I'm the conspiracy theorist. I don't care what people think. And people know that. My friends know that too about them. They're like they get a little bit distressed because they like, why are you looking at me like I'm an idiot? I'm like, well, if the glove fits, you must have quit or whatever. But and I don't, and believe me, I don't like that. Okay, I don't, and I know, and the thing is, I know I'm not smart. I'm not so smart. I'm not. I make stupid mistakes about a lot of stuff, folks. Believe me, okay? I'm an idiot most of the time, but I'm looking at this stuff and I'm laying it all out for you. I'm not sure how much more ridiculous it can get. It just can't get any more ridiculous. And if you listen to the show and you see how I put it all together, I can't see how. And frankly, the people who do listen all tell me the same thing. When I put it all together like that and I lay it all out for you, I'm not sure how much. You don't have to believe me or agree with me. I'm saying that it does kind of put it into a perspective where this is a crock of nonsense. Now, the conclusions or the solutions that we come to can be disturbing and discomforting, to say the least, because there are no easy answers, because this is so psycho. But you know what though? It's always going to be a lot better. It's always going to be a lot better than going along with this nonsense. It just is. Okay, how could it not be? How could it not be? the truth and love and caring about for people and not this evil, hateful, warring and killing and murdering and damaging people's children and blaming other people or not blaming other people. This is how could this possibly? It'd be so easy just to be caring and nice to people and loving to people and of all types and these people being demonized because there's people out there, not us, not me and you. You know, I don't care if you're rich or poor. Even the rich, arrogant stockbroker kids I know. You know, I was chatting with a kid in a bar the other night, and he said he worked for J.P. Morgan, and he was ready for me to lash into him. I'm not a communist, and I don't believe that he didn't seem like a bad person at all. In fact, he was probably a nice guy. Okay, I didn't know him terribly well. I just chatted with him about a couple of things for a second, but I'm not some sort of a communist revolutionary by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying that I'm telling you I'm from a fortunate background, and I am a fortunate person living in Manhattan and New York City in a fortunate surroundings, and I'm telling you that I am telling you that they're going to screw us too. Okay, they're going to screw. And they're already demonizing and getting people to try to fight with each other. Listen, people have to start paying attention and use and be a little bit more intellectual, a little bit more thinking and thoughtful. I know it takes time, and you have a full schedule, and you have kids, and you have private school, and you have bills to pay. I understand all that, but that doesn't mean you should go along with some crock of nonsense that's going to screw you even more, because these people are going to fuck us. Okay, these people are not they're not beating us at out competing us. They're not. Okay, that would be different. Okay, if somebody's better at something than you are, and he moves ahead of you in that regard because they're let's just put it into a perspective of like a sport. Okay, I mean, if I'm playing a guy basketball 1-on-1 and he beats me. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm going to have to concede that then when somebody asks me, did that guy just beat you? I'll have to say yes. I guess, yeah, he did. Okay. Maybe I'm not thrilled about that, but he didn't cheat. You know, I didn't say he cheated me either. He beat me. Yes, he beat me. That was a fair and square. He beat me fair and square. That's not what's going on here. People are stealing from people and manipulating people in order to facilitate their thefts. And I am speaking out against it. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's cool. I don't think anybody does. I don't think anybody does. Okay, I just don't. Okay, and listen, if you're in one of those businesses, or you're in the bank, and you're saying, well, man, you know, Max is getting a little bit too close for my comfort because, I mean, I don't even know how I make my money. Maybe, you know, that might be true, but believe me, there's still be money. I was in real estate business. I don't feel like I was stealing from anybody. I made lots of money in those days. I don't think that if somebody told me that we should play it fair, I don't think that would have changed my success in that business one bit. And I think in general, even in banking, there's people who are smart enough to make a good living at anything. Okay, however, I'm telling you that this is not what's going on here. Maybe I got straight off the subject. Oops, I did it again. Let me just get back to the show.
They have done it again. The Sunni Muslim terrorists known as ISIS have executed another kidnapped American.
I think I did it again. I actually had to work at the hospital that day on Thanksgiving, and I remember I was up that morning, and somehow I got a Skype alert, and so I opened my... Somehow
I got a Skype alert. Again, this is nonsense. Keep going. And you know, be like, oh, you can't say that. That's a sister. They killed her brother. I'm like, well, you know what? If I believed that, I wouldn't say something like that. But they didn't. This is nonsense.
My computer, and it was Jim. And he was just talking to me, and I told him Happy Thanksgiving. And he's like, it's Thanksgiving over there? And I said, yes, it's Thanksgiving. I just want to know, we all love you. And then I went off to work, and obviously we know the rest of the story. But
Well, Jim was at an internet cafe, so you're probably...
No, he's going to fill in the story that she missed. That's her brother or her handler or her compadre. And this is listen to this. This is nonsense, folks.
We were one of the last, certainly the last person in our family to...
I think I was. So I feel very honored, and you know, it's really special that I was at least able to say that before he was taken.
All right, so she's saying she feels special and honored that she was able to say "we love you" before her brother was killed. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not even trying to laugh, but you know what? So, folks, I'll laugh all I want because this is nonsense. Okay, I have a sister. I'm sure many of us have brothers and sisters. Okay, this is couldn't even possibly fathom how this could be me and my sister on TV on CNN or whatever talking about our other brother whose head just got chopped off. This is absolute nonsense. Let's carry it on. Are you kidding me?
What am I, a schmuck on wheels?
I think that shows that the Pope is a real humanitarian, a real caring human being, like the rest of us.
What did he say to you?
He said, "We're sorry for our grief. We're sorry that Jim was killed."
Okay, so on Fox, the Pope called Foley's father, and the president and the Pope called Foley's parents. Again, whatever. Okay, no offense to anybody who's Catholic or anything like that, but whatever. The Pope calls you. He's like, well, I guess the Pope is like any of the rest of us or something. Whatever he said. Whatever. This is such nonsense. And again, oh, Max, you're disparaging the Pope. No, I'm not. Okay, I believe I believe anybody should practice their religion and believe in what they do wholeheartedly. And I don't know who's right or who's wrong. I don't care, because I believe that's if you have a conviction and you love your conviction and you care for and you're a good person in your heart, God bless you. Follow whatever gets you there, and in a good way. I'm not trying to put it down in any way. I don't have any better answers or worse answers. I'm not any cooler than that. Okay, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with the Pope. But again, it will show. This does lend credence to the idea that the Pope is the whole papacy and the whole Vatican thing is corrupted. I'm sorry to say that. We'll just keep it moving on.
I think that shows that the Pope is a real humanitarian, a real caring human being, like the rest of us.
What did he say to you?
He said, "We're sorry for our grief. We're sorry that Jim was killed."
Do you need to get that?
No, I'm sure whoever it is.
It's the Vatican! Line 1! Jesus!
Shit, I hope you didn't hear that. Or that. Shit!
Just put him through, you idiot!
Okay, Jesus! Shit!
Seen reports of a video that purports to be the murder of U.S. citizen Steven Sotloff by ISIL. The intelligence community will work as quickly as possible to determine its authenticity. If the video is genuine, we are sickened by this brutal act taking the life of another innocent American citizens.
Okay, that's Jen Psaki from the State Department. She's like, she does several ambiguities there. So she's like, well, if it's real and if the intelligence community decides that it is authentic, so she's giving herself what's called plausible deniability.
So come join us at the Harson's Institute of Plausible Deniability and let us show you how to run a dirty empire, but keep your hands clean. Call within the next 15 minutes and you'll receive a complimentary blindfold and headphones to make sure you always stay out of the loop.
We've seen reports of a video that purports to be the murder of U.S. citizen Steven Sotloff by ISIL. The intelligence community will work as quickly as possible to determine its authenticity. If the video is genuine, we are sickened by this brutal act taking the life of another innocent American citizens.
I mean, this just, it sounds unbelievable when we see these videos.
Hostage videos are another subject. I'm not convinced they're accurate at all.
We just hardly recognize our little boy.
There's so much about my brother I didn't know.
So come join us at the Harson's Institute of Plausible Deniability and let us show you how to run a dirty empire, but keep your hands clean.
You know, I mean...
There's so much evil in the world.
So, we need to pray.
None of it makes any sense.
No.
Something doesn't sound right to me, and if it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true.
The videos of the beheadings that you saw were not an accident. They were carefully orchestrated. They had the British individual who was a clear English speaker, the orange jumpsuit of the victims that was reminiscent of Gitmo, and clearly these were edited videos.
I bet you're good and scared, huh? Well, you should be, because tonight we have a real terrifying film for you, a scary movie.
And another fake beheading.
Both videos are fake.
The video is fake.
This video is totally fake to anybody with fucking eyes.
You can't get more ridiculous and insane than this. You know, of course, the beheading videos already proven to be fake.
This is so fake. I cannot believe the crap that they try to pull off. All I can refer back to is when they used to do the fake Osama bin Laden speeches.
James Foley beheading video. You know, the one that's fake as heck.
These fake beheadings of journalists.
This video only shows the guy getting his neck sawed at with a fake knife and then his head on top of his body. And that's not really a hard illusion to recreate. I could do it. Just give me $50.
Foley beheading hoax.
The first one was fake. Foley video here. Foley video was staged. Experts say. UK Times. Go ahead. Read it again. I can't reiterate this enough. They admitted it was fake.
Common sense. You look at the video, you see how stupid and scripted it is.
Yes, guys, of course, this Foley beheading is a fake. It's a farce.
And at this point, these fake beheadings are growing tiresome and less entertaining by the hour.
Because if you see it, any moron, any complete jackass moron would see that this crap is fake.
This boogeyman that they created based on fake beheadings.
Experts doubt the authenticity of Foley beheading video.
This has got to be the biggest hoax I ever saw.
But if you watch that video, in the beginning there's special effects which don't seem like the highest priority of a terrorist organization.
Why should I believe that there was a murder when they faked the beheading?
We've already established that it's fake. It's already admitted.
Because if you see it, any moron, any complete jackass moron would see that this crap is fake. So, that means, as I said before, ISIS is fake. It's all propaganda. It is complete crap.
They're fakers. Get over it.
All propaganda pieces in order to encourage and embolden support of the general public for war.
The whole thing was fake.
Obama, your propaganda was just pointed out by a 15-year-old. How do you feel about that?
Please do not forget, you saw nothing. You saw television. You saw nothing. So believe what you will, but please, you did not see anything with your own two eyes, and I have been on the other side of that box too much with some very so-called innocent stuff. Week in, week out, I made trickery. So you did not see anything.
His brainwashing's been compromised. Seize him!
You had to have a lot of hubris to stage this obviously transparent lie.
When you're looking for fraud, it's staring you right in the face.
Who knows what shit will be peddled for truth on this network?
It's all bullshit.
Al-Qaeda wants to kill us.
What all became
very personal at 9/11. I was in command of my battalion at the time. I mean, I was in the training meeting when that happened. The unspeakable acts against pillars of our strength being, hit by aircraft. You can imagine what it was like. It all became, very, very personal.
Don't forget, the American media is based in New York City. Every reporter in New York City saw the World Trade Towers collapse. They took it personally. There was a sense of revenge, of fear.
So over and over again, you'll find that reason is lost. So they don't want people to reason through things. They want you to be emotionally involved in something. Always. Kyle, wake up! We have to go! The terrorists are attacking!
Dad, are you sure this time?
This isn't a joke, Kyle! Bombs have already gone off in 6 cities!
No.
Wait a minute! Where's Ike? He was just here! Ike!
Knives armed with chemical, biological, nuclear weapons. Fanatics, terrorists, September 11th. September 11th, killers, September 11th. Terrorists, terrorists of Al-Qaeda, terrorists, nuclear weapons, terrorists. 9/11, terror, terrorist, evil. September 11th, September 11th. The terrorists, war and danger. September 11th, terrorism, global terrorism, 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 terrorists, 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 the terror, terrorists, terrorist, terrorism. September 11th, global terrorism, terrorist, terrorism. September 11th, world terrorism. Terrorism. September 11th, global terrorism.
September the 11th, terror. Weapons of mass destruction. September the 11th, terrorists. The evil terrorists, no. Here's what bothers me. When we were setting up for our interview here, the audio engineer asked you to do what every guest does, to count to 10, to check the mic. And you started to do that, but then you said 9/11, 7/7, 3/11. Is this all some sort of a joke to do that?
Well, if you had a sense of humor, maybe you would have laughed. It was just...
This is the fake imam again, just there, and they have the effeminate CNN guy. This is just stoking, playing people for idiots, but let's carry it on. I think I made my point on that.
It's a sound check, and you shouldn't take any of these things that seriously. Obviously, I'm not saying to carry out an operation.
A sense of humor.
We were setting up the sound check. And I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 11, 7, 7, making sure that you can hear me. It's not a big issue. It's not a big deal.
9/11 was bad.
I agree with that.
God, I can't believe how easy this is.
Mrs. Griffin, what are your plans for cleaning up our environment?
9/11.
Mrs. Griffin, what about our traffic problem?
9/11.
A new and growing terror threat coming out of Syria. It's an Al-Qaeda cell you probably never heard of. Nearly everything about them is classified.
The group's leader is this man, Mohsen Al-Fatli, age 33, born in Kuwait.
Age 33.
He ran Al-Qaeda's cell in Iran, reportedly fought in Afghanistan and...
Same age as Douglas MacArthur, what's his name? Okay, they're both 33. If that don't, then 33rd degree Mason, whatever. That's they love, there's everything's 33,000, 33, 3,300, it's just everywhere in the news and it's just twisted. I'm not going to dwell on that, but it's twisted how it's always 33.
The group's leader is this man, Mohsen Al-Fatli, age 33, born in Kuwait. He ran Al-Qaeda's cell in Iran, reportedly fought in Afghanistan and Chechnya, and was a top aide to Osama bin Laden.
He's in Iran, Chechnya, and Afghanistan, and he's a top aide to Osama bin Laden. This guy, and you know what? First of all, it's coming from that guy Richard Engel, and this is NBC. He's the biggest lying clown. Well, you know what? He's not the biggest because he's tied for the lead because there's so many lying clowns. He's standing in front of the green screen. He's like, "Oh, Richard, he's in Syria. He's in Mosul. He's in Iraq. He's in Palestine. He's this guy." And then and he's 33 years old and he's the Mohammed Fatli. He's the leader of it's so classified you don't even know what it is.
The group's leader is this man, Mohsen Al-Fatli, age 33, born in Kuwait. He ran Al-Qaeda's cell in Iran, reportedly fought in...
He ran it. He's retired from that.
Afghanistan and Chechnya, and was a top aide to Osama bin Laden, said to be one of the few people to know about 9/11 before the attacks.
Right, so they should say that he's a right-hand man to Brzezinski and David Rockefeller and Kissinger or something like that, because I don't know what's Osama bin Laden's fake.
The group's leader is this man, Mohsen Al-Fatli, age 33, born in Kuwait.
Basically, he's using almost the same language that he and President Bush both used to use when targeting Al-Qaeda, which, of course, are the folks responsible for 9/11, and that is they want to destroy and degrade ISIS.
Right, of course, Al-Qaeda was responsible for 9/11. No. I've proven that many times. I'll prove it again. That is not even being up for discussion. I'm going to prove that to you again in this show, and we're going to keep going.
We are at war with ISIL in the same way we are at war and continue to be at war with Al-Qaeda.
Let us be clear. Al-Qaeda killed nearly 3,000 people on that day.
Al-Qaeda that attacked us on 9/11.
Al-Qaeda chose to ruthlessly murder these people, claimed credit for the attack.
Right, so they get Obama to tell you that, so you'll believe it, because you're mixed, because now I'm racist, or I'm anti-black people, or whatever, which is none of that's true, because I don't fit any of those stereotypes, and I'm not Republican, and I don't live out west, and I don't talk with a country accent. I'm not a gun toter, nothing like that. I'm a New York City Jew, okay, and I raised by liberal environment, and I'm telling you that, and I still am, except for that the fact that these people are nothing of the sort. Okay, he's not even black. Okay, and I'm sorry, all right? And I am not a basher. I'm not Fox News. I don't give those people a bunch of clowns, idiots also. But I'm sorry, but they're just as much, and according to my best friend again, he's like, oh, you don't think the Republicans are worse than Democrats? And I looked at him like my head was going to explode. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? They're all clowns. Can you see that? How could you side with another clown? That everything that we're being presented on TV is just garbage. That's what they turn the garbage into TV shows. You heard that in the beginning of the show. Let's keep it going.
If you'll recall, Steve, you had a international network in Al-Qaeda between Afghanistan and Pakistan, headed by bin Laden.
Okay, see, so again, because for whatever reason he's so believable, and people are for whatever reason are afraid, or they're convinced, or they're brainwashed, or whatever it is, they think that if they get Obama out there telling you, he just pounds it home. He's like Al-Qaeda did 9/11, Al-Qaeda did 9/11, Al-Qaeda did 11/11. No, they didn't. Okay, his grandfather did 9/11, and his uncle Clinton. They're all Rockefellers, okay, and I've told you that in this show, okay, and you can check my YouTube channel. He is a Rockefeller. He's a son of Michael Rockefeller, which is Nelson's son, and his mother was the president of Indonesia. You can see the pictures. They all look exactly alike.
Let us be clear. Al-Qaeda killed nearly 3,000 people on that day.
Al-Qaeda that attacked us on 9/11.
Al-Qaeda chose to ruthlessly murder these people, claimed credit for the attack.
If you'll recall, Steve, you had a international network in Al-Qaeda between Afghanistan and Pakistan, headed by bin Laden.
It's just that you keep talking about things, you keep saying it over and over and over again, and eventually people believe it.
And that last clip was from before the Aaron Russo clip. That was from 60 Minutes, like last month again. He was like, "As you recall, Steve, that was it was an international network of terrorists headed by bin Laden." Again, so he's still pounding that thing home, okay? And what did Shakespeare say? He said the lady doth protesteth too much. Okay, I heard you. It was Al-Qaeda. I heard you, buddy. Okay, and I'm telling you, folks, if you're going to believe these lying liars, okay, then you've lost your cotton-picking man.
If you'll recall, Steve, you had a international network in Al-Qaeda between Afghanistan and Pakistan, headed by bin Laden.
You know, it's just that you keep talking about things, you keep saying it over and over and over again, and eventually people believe it.
He's an evil, evil bastard, and he's a puppet of this satanic cabal that runs this planet.
He's more than a puppet, he's their kid.
They're doing the same thing today with Osama bin Laden, and that's where I've been getting at.
But sources say the group includes technicians trained by al-Qaeda's master bomb builder Ibrahim al-Asiri. The Yemen-based Asiri built the underwear bombs and 2 cargo bombs concealed in printer cartridges. We recently asked CIA Chief John Brennan about Asiri.
Why have we not been able to find and eliminate the bomb maker, al-Asiri?
We are doing what we can, and so individuals such as Mr. Asiri, their time will come.
So come join us at the Harson's Institute of Plausible Deniability and let us show you how to run a dirty empire, but keep your hands clean.
Okay, so not only is everybody's name there's al-Libi, al-Siri, al-Baghdadi. These are all people right in al-Yemeni. We have them all. Okay, this is because Americans aren't terribly their vocabularies aren't terribly deep or extensive, nor is there a knowledge of geography whatsoever. So we keep it really nice and cute. Like everybody's Abu. And their first name is Abu, the second name is Baghdadi, al-Siri, al-Libi, and al-Yemeni, and al-Egyptian-y, whatever, okay? That's how stupid, that's how not stupid, and nobody picks up on it at all, not my genius friends or brilliant friends who make loads of money, none of them, okay? They're like, what, Max? I'm like, come on, guy, come on already. Are you kidding me? And so then the CIA director, who's a clown again, you would hope, well, whatever, because the CIA is just a private Gestapo for a bunch of lying, murdering criminals from the world government cabal. But even if they weren't, this guy, he's a clown. This guy, whatever his name, the CIA guy. And he's like, well, we haven't been. They're like, and the guy in CBS like, how come you haven't found him yet? He's like, well, we're working on it. Something like that. Again, so I don't know what our trillion a year is going for. We can't find one guy ever. This guy's been around since the cartridge bomb. al-Asiri, and now he's like training people and sending them over to Iraq and Iran and Syria, and they're also infiltrating the United States. And we're like, well, we're working on it. His time is going to come.
But sources say the group includes technicians trained by al-Qaeda's master bomb builder Ibrahim al-Asiri. The Yemen-based Asiri built the underwear bombs and 2 cargo bombs concealed in printer cartridges.
He built a lot of fake bombs.
Recently asked CIA Chief John Brennan about Asiri.
John Brennan, this guy's a clown.
Why have we not been able to find and eliminate the bomb maker, al-Asiri?
We are doing what we can, and so individuals such as Mr. Asiri, their time will come.
Okay, now another thing is that that I believe that the reason that they stick a bumbling idiot into that position as he's leading the CIA now is because they want to be able to do something and say, oh, he wasn't, and they're like, well, look what we got running the CIA. He's not on the ball. He's an idiot, right? So that's it's falling into the same lines as in the plausible deniability category, and worse, okay? Because then I'll get my friends to be like, well, Max, you really think, how can our government's too stupid to even pull off 9/11, man? I'm like, well, that's because you're too stupid to realize that that's not a government. That's just a bunch of clowns that they put in front of us to be while you're playing Angry Birds on your iPhone. Oh my goodness.
So come join us at the Harson's Institute of Plausible Deniability and let us show you how to run a dirty empire, but keep your hands clean.
The vast economic resources, the vast technological resources, the vast personnel resources, the vast networks and intricate web spun over all these years by the CIA, the FBI, and the NSA can't find Osama bin Laden, but CNN can? Bullshit.
this group was experimenting with all sorts of ways to get bombs onto planes, concerned that Ibrahim al-Asiri, the master bomb maker in Yemen, was training apprentices, and some of these apprentices have joined this group in Syria.
U.S. authorities tell ABC News that al-Asiri's latest designs involve bombs surgically implanted in terrorists, as well as bombs hidden in pets to be carried on aircraft.
He's got an operational savvy to him that is useful for an al-Qaeda operative.
Al-Baghdadi, right? The big Baghdadi monsters coming to get you with ISIS, right? Just like Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. It's the same old script over and over and over again.
It is written.
Nothing is written.
Here I come, baby. I'm coming to get you.
There is a militia called Ansar al-Sharia. They think they have all the Ansars. Okay. And they have unfortunately captured
al-Sharia
a lot of weaponry and might be shooting down planes.
As long as nothing goes wrong on this flight.
Oh, Captain, my Captain. With ISIS on board, what could possibly go wrong?
At the moment, U.S. officials tell us there is no specific credible threat, but al-Qaeda remains obsessed with bombs, airplanes, and hitting the homeland.
Because this is a plot which seems to be targeting Western aviation.
But no threat. Just a lot of nonsense. Just constant propaganda. But no. Well, there's no threat. There's no threat. Just we just talk about every second of the day.
U.S. passenger jets.
And do they have much more? I mean, obviously it was very specific what they had. They talked about toothpaste. They talked about the toiletry, the carry-on toiletry size. They talk about clothes with explosive devices on them.
Okay, so now they're going to check your toothpaste and your clothes and everything you see. This is just to play the slaves even worse. Like, oh, sorry, there's Ibrahim al-Asiri from Yemen. He's designing bombs to put in your toothpaste and in your clothes. So take your clothes off and let me see your tits and let me open up your suit and let me give you the runaround by some untrained jerk-off and for terrorists that don't exist because you're being played by an idiot, like an idiot, and I'm crazy, by the way.
According to U.S. intelligence, the Khorasan group, which is not a very well-known group, has about 100 core members. It is linked directly to al-Qaeda. It has linkages with other al-Qaeda militants in the Middle East, and that it was in the late stages of plotting an attack to bomb U.S. airliners.
Richard Engel again. He's very credible, of course.
You think that's bad? Guess what they did last month? They got themselves 11 airplanes, commercial jetliners. Here, in fact, let's go to that report. Al Jazeera Television reported in August that Western intelligence reports had warned of terror threats to the region from the 11 stolen commercial jets. Where are those commercial airliners? No one knows. So remember what they used on 9/11? Commercial jetliners. It's hard for them. Now, they got some anti-aircraft missiles, etc., but it's hard for them to find missiles that can reach U.S. or other countries. But planes can reach us, and now they have planes.
Remember what they told us, and he's reiterating on 9/11 that they attacked us with planes. There were no planes crashes on 9/11. That's not true. And every word out of this clown's mouth, chunk Uyghur, isn't true. Okay, and he's like, oh, you know what they did now? They stole 11 planes, and nobody knows where they are. Just like they're probably hiding them in the same planes as Flight 370. What you see, this is all. Not only is it's a plausible deniability, and for absolute morons combined. Okay, which one do you like, and why? So what is the problem here? What is the problem here? Can't you see? This is a crock of nonsense. It's just every which way you slice it, it's nonsense. Here's John Lear telling you about the planes on 9/11. He's like, well, that's where they got us on 9/11. No, who's they?
Yeah, again,
I can't tell you how strongly I believe there were no airplanes, but not only airplanes, no missiles, no A-3s, no drones, no Predators, no nothing. It was all just fakery.
The buildings came down, folks. I mean, collapsed upon themselves all the way to the ground. A jet plane crashing into the top quarter of those buildings can't do that. It's absolutely impossible. Somebody had to have placed charges upon the main structural members that support the buildings somewhere at the ground level in order to bring those buildings down like they fell, just like the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. That fertilizer truck parked on the street did not bring that building down. It was supported by major columns of steel reinforced concrete, which are hard targets. And I know all about hard targets. I fought in a war. I went to booby trap school. The Navy taught me how to bring down hard targets, and they told me the only way that it could be done, and that's with shaped charges placed upon the main structural members. Airplanes flying into the top of those buildings did not bring those buildings down, and if you believe they did, you know, there's air between your ears, and there shouldn't be. There should be some brain material in there. If you don't believe me, talk to explosives experts, talk to demolition people who bring down buildings routinely, and they'll tell you exactly how hard it is to do it. It is very difficult to bring down a building that is built as a hard target, as steel reinforced concrete, and those buildings were. These buildings could not have fallen for the reasons given, that they had to have fallen for some other reasons.
Shut up, conspiracy theorist.
I don't believe that was Bin Laden today. I don't believe it was never him. I can't even believe, I'm sorry, I'm from the projects. I know danger. I don't feel no danger from that shit. As these motherfuckers,
But you don't think Bin Laden knocked down the World Trade Center?
Absolutely not.
Come on.
I don't.
Shut up, conspiracy theorist.
Do we actually live in a scientific era? Do we actually live in a time where we believe in evidence and analysis? Or do we live in some magical era where buildings just fall down somehow?
And I think there's a big difference between what you hear a legitimate government official say and what you would say on YouTube.
Right, so, yeah, government officials are legitimate, not you YouTubers, Max.
Mr. Dillon, are you trying to say there wasn't Pawnees that did this? Is this what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. But the Pawnees are the only tribe around here right now. I don't follow you, Marshal. I'm saying the Pawnees didn't do this. There wasn't Indians at all. It was white men.
Well, that's what you figured all along, wasn't it, Mr. Dillon? That's why you wanted to come out here in the first place.
Fascinating how on Gunsmoke they were blaming it on the Indians, and he's like, that wasn't Indians at all. Again, and he's like those are people that we know. And again, that's talk about trippy. Gunsmoke. Let me play that one again. So they're blaming it on the Pawnees, and he's like, that wasn't Pawnees. Okay, and there was an attack with these scalping, and they were like, oh, who's the Pawnees? Let's get him. Let's go get him. And Matt Dillon's like, you know what? I had a feeling he was like, this doesn't make sense to me. And then he went out there to check it, and he's like, you know what? I wasn't no Pawnees.
Mr. Dillon, are you trying to say there wasn't Pawnees that did this? Is this what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. But the Pawnees are the only tribe around here right now. I don't follow you, Marshal. I'm saying the Pawnees didn't do this. There wasn't Indians at all. It was white men.
Well, that's what you figured all along, wasn't it, Mr. Dillon? That's why you wanted to come out here in the first place.
Shut up, conspiracy theorist.
I am absolutely appalled at how much people in this country do not think. We are given to understand that an Arabic guy out there up in the mountains financed the most elaborate attack on this country. And when I think about how many Americans were killed in New York City and believing as I do that this thing was a setup job. This is a textbook operation that Nazis used, and they've used it over and over again. America has been suckered in one more time.
The hundreds of such incidents that have been staged over the centuries to blame political enemies for attacks that they did not commit. The tactic remains in common use today, and will continue to be employed as long as populations still blindly believe whatever their governments tell them about the origins of spectacular terror incidents.
Population fell for 9/11. That's been the excuse for everything else.
Thank you for saving me, but who are you?
My name is Isis. But yours, I'm sure, is not Bigfoot.
My name is Richard.
That was when the ISIS show. She's like, you know, because he's the famous guy. I think that knows Jaws from the James Bond movies, and the big guy, and he was playing he was Bigfoot, and they're like, I think that was Bigfoot, and he's like, I'm not. She's like, you're not Bigfoot. He's like, no, I'm Richard.
I can still sing "We Shall Overcome" because Carlyle was right. No lie can live forever.
Tonight, our new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll reveals nearly half of Americans think we are less safe than we were before 9/11. That's the highest since we started asking this question back in 2002.
Isn't the calculation, though, that ISIL presents a 9/11 level threat to the United States? Isn't the calculation?
Okay, so now here we go with this. It's all over the place, and it's in the news. Okay, and so don't start with me like, oh, Max, you're fear mongering people, because I'm like, no, they're fear mongering you, but they are they're outright hinting that it's just something. It's like there's a 9/11 type threat. It's going to be like 9/11. They're like 9/11. They're 9/11, and it's everywhere. And there's 10 different groups that are like 9/11, and they're all infiltrating America with passports, and they're getting American and European affiliates, and they're all joining ISIS, and they're going out there and finding ISIS on the ISIS page on Facebook, and they're going and they went out to Syria, and now they're going to come back in the United States and bomb New York. And I'm sorry, but these are adults. These are grown people. There's no evidence of any. There's nothing to show us. This is all garbage nonsense, and they're all liars. Liars and bumbling, foolish liars. But they put all the okay. And the other thing is that's a little bit disturbing is that because they're going to set up some sort of a false flag attack. Everybody that they put in is not sharp, so because they'll never put a sharp guy in there, because then they'll like, this guy's too sharp to let that go. So they got all the bumbling fools are in there now. You got Brennan at the CIA, Hagel is the director of defense, or the Secretary of Defense. So they're all bumblers. Okay, so this is a clean, pure setup for some sort of an event. Okay, that's going to be a false flag event run by a bunch of criminals, and how we can, and the peanut butter and jelly cabal, I'm going to call them. And if you want to believe the peanut butter and jelly cowboy hat cabal, good luck to you, you fucking morons.
Tonight, our new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll reveals nearly half of Americans think we are less safe than we were before 9/11. That's the highest since we started asking this question back in 2002.
And you wonder why 9/11 is important. You wonder why because they're not leaving it alone. So why should I leave it alone? Okay, 9/11 was not done by any Arab Muslim terrorists at all. That's all been proven as nonsense. Period. We can get into this an intelligent in a different discussion about what really went on 9/11. But we're not even at the point where we're still being told that Al Qaeda did 9/11. Obama said it 10 times. I just played it for you. He says it over and over. He said it last week. Or a few weeks ago in front of the United Nations and on 60 Minutes, okay? And he says it constantly, so that's no change, and so does everybody, okay? Everybody, okay, including Peter, and these people are all a bunch of jerk-offs, okay? Obama's got the slick thing going, but we got Hagel, like these people are bumbling fools, okay? Dempsey, so that's intentional because people can be like, oh, Max, what you think those people, could pull off 9/11? No, that's what they're doing. That's what they're presenting to us. So people jerk off. So people can say that to me. Okay, listen, I'm telling you what's going to happen. Go down. Well, listen, I'm going to make a prediction in the end of the show. So please stay tuned for that. But let's just power through it. We're getting down to the back stretch over here. Keep it going. Okay. So but anyway, so now that I tried to show you that 9/11 was a hoax, and I also tried to show you that they're fear mongering us about 9/11 type events, and let's just keep it going from there, and we're going to wrap this thing up. Let's go.
Tonight, our new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll reveals nearly half of Americans think we are less safe than we were before 9/11. That's the highest since we started asking this question back in 2002.
Okay, that's manufactured consent. Keep going.
Isn't the calculation, though, that ISIL presents a 9/11 level threat to the United States?
Oh, this is beyond anything that we've seen. So we must prepare for everything. And the only way you do that is you take a cold, steely, hard look at it and get ready.
And I want everybody to understand that we have not seen any immediate intelligence about threats to the homeland from ISIL.
You've heard of the doctrine of plausible deniability.
And that's the story.
There are places in the world that if we don't watch, we're going to face a 9/11 style threat again.
We've been watching this group closely for some time. We believe the Khorasan group was nearing the execution phase of an attack either in Europe.
Okay, they spell Khorasan like K-H or something like that. Khorasan is corazón in Spanish is heart, and many people have Latin derivative languages other than Spanish, but there's certainly so don't. And again, so it's Al-Libi, Al-Siri, Corazon, Ugu, Gugu Buga, Abu Bakr. This is all because people have very, very, very narrow understandings of different languages and different cultures. Narrow, okay, even and listen. I'm interested in that, and I try to learn about that. I'm pretty. I guess I'm narrow too, but I mean, come on, Corazon with Khor, whatever. Come on, guys. Okay, Al-Libi, Al-Siri. I mean, you think this is all like, oh, Max, you think everything's plain like that? I'm like, what? Corazon, Al-Libi, Al-Siri, and Al-Baghdadi? Whatever.
Well, the homeland. We know that the Khorasan group.
Okay, so this isn't ISIS anymore. This is Khorasan, whatever. And it's not ISIL, it's ISIS. And this is all you see, because they think you're a moron and you're not paying attention. So you know what though? So I'll do a 3-hour show, or maybe a little longer than 3 hours, looking like at this point. And I'm going to try to, and I'll condense it all for you. So now, rather than watch an hour or half an hour of garbage nonsense on TV when you come home, listen to my show, and you'll get 3 weeks of information in one show, at least. Yeah. Okay. Good luck with that. Thank you.
We've been watching this group closely for some time. We believe the Khorasan group was nearing the execution phase of an attack either in Europe or the homeland. We know that the Khorasan group has attempted to recruit Westerners to serve as operatives or to infiltrate back into their homelands.
If allowed to control significant amounts of territory, to amass more resources, more arms, to attract more foreign fighters, including from areas like Europe, who have Europeans who have visas and then can travel to the United States unimpeded, that over time that can be a serious threat to the homeland.
Khorasan basically means Al-Qaeda.
Khorasan means Al-Qaeda, not just Al-Qaeda, but Al-Qaeda's A-team. These are veteran Al-Qaeda operatives. The leader of this group, a Kuwaiti, was part of the inner circle with bin Laden in the weeks leading up to 9/11. So these are very, very capable operatives. They've been building up their presence in Syria, in Idlib province over the last year, trying to recruit Europeans and other Westerners into their ranks so that they could launch attacks back in the West.
Okay, so just keep in mind that this is all based on lies, okay? Because there is no Osama bin Laden, and there is no relevance to that to 9/11, because we've already proven that there weren't any planes and weren't any terrorists and weren't any there wasn't this plot by Osama bin Laden. None of that's true, okay, period. That's obvious, and that's true, period, okay? I can go into that. There is no arguing that. I mean, I can shoot it. I have a airtight, proven, scientifically, methodically proven, it's just not okay. Anyway. So, but this is based on that, okay, on a stupid story, okay. And so now they're going to say, well, I know, but then they keep hinting at and they're going, and there's people who are operatives in the United States and Europe. Which, so now I'm an American, so, and I don't know I don't have the feel that I have for New York City like I do for like the feel I have for New York City like I would for any other place, because I live here and I know this, I understand, I feel it, okay, I can see what's going on here, but so I don't know I don't don't have that feel for London or Berlin or things like that, but I will say that I wouldn't doubt if there was a double attack in New York and in somewhere in Europe. If I had to guess, in some twisted way, I would guess somewhere in Germany, which I would say will have to be Berlin. Again, I don't really know those places well enough. I mean, I can guess at it, but that's why I'm saying Berlin, I guess. But I don't really know. But just like I see hints about things in New York, I see hints about things in Germany. I hear the British parliamentary liars saying things, but but there's still always these hints, like the Austrian girls on Facebook. Well, you're gonna hear even more about that, but anyway, so where was I again? So there. But again, it's based on lies. Okay, it's based on a lie that there is an Osama bin Laden who orchestrated the 9/11 event, which is provenly not true and categorically not true, and none of it's true. So I don't want to hear that. I mean, I can defend that and argue that and offer such a closed case, abundance of evidence that that's not the case, that I don't have to go there, and anybody who listens to my show knows that. So, but anyway, so they're basically, but they keep hinting at that, but they're still pushing this lie. Okay, now it's Khorasan, so now there's Khorasan and ISIS.
Khorasan basically means Al-Qaeda.
Khorasan means Al-Qaeda, not just Al-Qaeda, but Al-Qaeda's A-team. These are veteran Al-Qaeda operatives. The leader of this group, a Kuwaiti, was part of the inner circle with bin Laden in the weeks leading up to 9/11. So these are very, very capable operatives. They've been building up their presence in Syria, in Idlib province over the last year, trying to recruit Europeans and other Westerners into their ranks so that they could launch attacks back in the West.
I think they're as dangerous, as fanatical, as terrorists as Al-Qaeda was. And they have a large number of foreign fighters with foreign passports that make them particularly dangerous to the safety of this country.
Has not the moment of truth arrived for us all to admit that ISIS and Al-Nusra and the rest of Al-Qaeda affiliates will not be limited within the borders of Syria and Iraq, but will spread to every spot that it can reach, starting with Europe and America?
Okay, that was the again the Syrian representative to the United Nations this month or last month, and Panetta is also hinting at the homeland and the Khorasan and Al Qaeda, and they're all hinting at the homeland. So that's why I'm bringing that to you, because that seems to be the hinting. Period.
Well, I received an intelligence report that said that there was ISIS cells that were active in the Juarez area, which is northern part of Chihuahua State, and that they were moving around over there, that they had just that there was some activity and for the sheriffs along the border to be on the alert, for all law enforcement to be on the alert, and to be on the lookout for these people maybe trying to come across.
Okay, you dirty-ass beaner, that's it.
And there's always a way to get across. There's coyotes that bring those people across. They'll bring them into that area and then wait when the time is right, and they'll bring them across the river.
Sure, why not?
Mexico's most notorious coyote, which is Espanol for people smuggler.
Thanks, that's...
And also for coyote, it turns out.
Okay, so that's a stage, and kind of, you know, they have this guy called, he's a sheriff painter from Texas or Arizona, and he's on Fox, and he's like talking about the ISIS is they're smuggling Korans and such and across the border, and with the coyotes, and she's like, well, that's obvious. And that crazy girl from whatever, Survivor or something, I forgot her name. She's like, yeah, well, that figures.
Mexico's most notorious coyote, which is Espanol for people smuggler.
Thanks, that's...
And also for coyote, it turns out.
There are two al-Qaeda groups in Syria, al-Nusra and ISIS. Both of them have said, both of them have made very clear that the United States of America will be a target when they settle into a safe haven. Both of them have been very clear about that. And one of the things you learn in foreign policy over time is that your adversary tells you exactly what they're going to do. Bin Laden did it, al-Nusra and ISIS are doing it.
And the people who actually do these events do it too with the and I'm going to go into that shortly with the signs on the money and in the cartoons and on The Simpsons and this one's and on Family Guy they talked about the bombing of on Boston and on before it happened, and on The Simpsons in 1998 Bart is holding a 9/11 flyer in his hand with a stack of money, and then when you fold the money it turns into 9/11 pictures on but front and back on the $10 and $20 bill, and so they're the ones telling you what they're gonna do before they do it, and that's going to be how I wrap up this show. So stay tuned, and I'm going to tell you what these signs are out there that I seem to have picked up.
Peter King predicts Lower Manhattan could be an ISIS target.
We always have to be on our guard, and ISIS could attack us at any time.
Congressman Peter King told us this week he's not convinced ISIS is not a threat to New Yorkers.
ISIS definitely is a major player. ISIS is a very real threat.
There will be a lot more martyrdom operations coming from the Islamic State going forward.
Inshallah, we'll make some attacks in New York soon, bid'Allah ta'ala.
Okay, another fake lying propaganda outlet, Vice News, said have a fake Skype interview, and he said we're going to attack New York on that. Okay, again, these are all staged nonsense garbage, and they're all saying the same thing, so they're all hinting at that. Again, this one is way more amplified than just subtle hints, okay, that we've seen over the years, which are more to put thoughts into your head about fear. This is it's almost like they're cramming it down our throats, and so they keep saying Lower New York, Lower Manhattan, and they're smuggling them in with coyotes from Mexico, but they're going to come to New but you don't hear any mention of anything except Lower Manhattan and New York, and I'm going to put that together for you too.
As a precaution, they're stepping forward. Look, they're very concerned. A lot of terrorism experts say they have not seen this kind of chatter since pre-9/11, so they're worried. But
you're going to have to take strong action because ultimately some really bad things are going to happen for this country. You have to nip it in the bud, and it's got to be nipped strongly.
Trump, ultimately something's going to happen. Trump, New Yorker also.
I'm not focused.
And a clown and a paid propagandist as well, or not paid, or complicit, whatever you want to call it. Trumpsky. Here, we'll play that one again. We keep it going.
You're going to have to take strong action because ultimately some really bad things are going to happen for this country. You have to nip it in the bud, and it's got to be nipped strongly.
I'm not focused on insurgents. I'm focusing on people who have the capabilities to orchestrate an operation against Times Square.
Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda is a fictional villain in the game of war by deception, and so is this new group called ISIS, and its leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. This so-called extremist group will likely be the scapegoat in the future false flag operation that will lead to another war. As we can see, the next 9/11 false flag fear-mongering is in full swing, and the usual culprits pushing this fear campaign is present as well.
In full swing.
The leader of ISIS, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, was in U.S. custody in Iraq for 4 years. When he was released in 2009, his parting words to U.S. troops, "I'll see you in New York."
The target was Al-Qaeda's number 2 in command, Abu Yahya al-Libi.
His name is Abu Yahya al-Libi.
Abu Yahya. Abu Yahya. Abu Yahya.
Abu Yahya.
I'm your boogeyman. That's what I am.
Al-Baghdadi, some people say that's a manufactured name.
Lee found Bigfoot.
Only it wasn't really Bigfoot. It was this guy named Richard.
These are people who achieve what they set out to achieve. Unless somebody stops them, they make good on their threats. They have threatened to carry out activity in the United States, killing people, mass slaughter in the United States. Believe me, I plead with you, believe me. I want your listeners to believe me. These people will do it. And I want everybody to understand that we have not seen any immediate intelligence about threats to the homeland from ISIL.
So come join us at the Harson's Institute of Plausible Deniability and let us show you how to run a dirty empire, but keep your hands clean.
The media all works together to make sure that you get the wrong message, which they'll tell you is the right one.
I admire and respect the vigilant coverage of the free American press, radio, and television, through which the people of America were so well informed.
Thank you, Nelson.
Let's be clear here. The original architects of 911 not only clued us in, and I think Mike is right, by the way, as a career analyst, people tell you what they're going to do.
You know that you are being run by people who are insane, and you don't know.
Shut up, conspiracy theorist.
The equivalent of a Goldman Sachs in the area. And we've been saying this for quite some time, that there really is no difference. They're cut from the same cloth. The terrorists and the bankers, they have the same mindset. They're both the jihadis.
Earlier today, the Home Secretary confirmed that the Joint Terrorism Analysis Centre has increased the threat level in the United Kingdom from substantial to severe.
And I want everybody to understand that we have not seen any immediate intelligence about threats to the homeland from ISIL.
You've heard of the doctrine of plausible deniability.
And whatever is going to happen that they're going to blame on Osama bin Laden, don't you even believe it.
All right, and we're getting to the final segment here in the show. It's been a long one. It's been a good one. I think you see where I'm going with this, and so we've been leading up to this, like, well, what is the threat, Max? What is it? What are they threatening to do? Well, listen, I'm just going to throw this out there. This is all stuff that I've accumulated or aggregated for you. Certainly doesn't mean anything definitive or anything, or it could you just be to get people like me to point at it and say, well, it looks like that's what they're doing. Let me just say one more thing before I start this last segment, is that when and many of you probably know this already, but if you didn't know that and you Google or whatever folding the currency, I will tell you right now that if you fold a $20 bill and you fold it over onto the, like, what is it, Jackson on the 20, if you fold it lengthwise over, so his face is folded over, and then you make a perpendicular folds in the middle. You can look that up on how to do that rather than me having to explain it verbally. You will see a picture of the Twin Towers burning on one side, and then you flip it to the other side, doing the same fold, and you'll see the Pentagon burning on the other side. If you do a $10 bill, same thing more or less. If now the new hundreds and the new 50s, the new 50 has, if you fold it that same exact way, which is a new bill. Okay, those, first of all, those 20s were out before the incident of 9/11, so that was there as a hint. That's why Bart Simpson has a stack of money in his hand in 1998 when they tip you off that there's going to be something about 9/11 on The Simpsons, and he has a stack of money in his hands, which is never explained. Okay, it's because it's on the money. Same thing. So now it's on the money again, and I'll tell you that if you fold a $50 bill the same way, you will see a picture of the distressed Hoover Dam out in Arizona. I think it's Arizona, on the border of Arizona. I don't want to say it's either Colorado or New Mexico, but and I know I'm a little bit, but it's definitely on the border of Arizona. You will see a distressed situation in the Hoover Dam. I'll throw out my prediction on that they will call that a natural disaster, but that's on the $50 bill. And the new $100 bill, when you fold it that same way, you will see a picture of a distressed what I identified as the Watchtower building, which is right adjacent to the Brooklyn Bridge. And if you look through it from the side, which is the angle that it seemingly shows on the $100 bill, you would see the Brooklyn Bridge right behind it, and there seems to be something going on back there too. So this is why I'm going to throw this out there right now. Plus, and I'm going to show you abundance of other suggestions and hints that it was that there's going to be something going down on the Brooklyn Bridge, and then I'll even show you a hint at what the date will be. And this is very speculative, and certainly doesn't mean any proof of anything. But I'm just going to show you what I've seen, and you can make your same assessment or same hunch or judgment for yourself. Okay, I'm not trying to say that any of this has to have any occurrence. However, I'm going to show you what I see, and I'm going to say, wow, that is kind of freaky that it's all pointing to the same thing now. And again, these people have been saying Lower Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, Lower Manhattan. Here we go.
This is the famous Brooklyn Bridge, 133 feet high, 1,500 feet long, contains hundreds of miles of cable.
Wait, before that, before 9/11, Bill Cooper said this.
And whatever is going to happen that they're going to blame on Osama bin Laden, don't you even believe it.
And I'll say whatever's going to happen that they blame on ISIS, don't believe it was ISIS either.
This is the famous Brooklyn Bridge, 133 feet high, 1,500 feet long, contains hundreds of miles of cable.
Again, it's on the $100 bill. Check it yourself.
The Brooklyn Bridge is one of the busiest spots in one of the biggest cities in the world. Every day, 125,000 motor vehicles, 4,000 pedestrians, and 2,600 cyclists cross that bridge. Yet somehow, none of them noticed someone replacing the American flags that fly over the bridge with white flags.
Okay, so in August, there was a bizarre incident where the American flags that are hanging on the posts of these two giant posts of the Brooklyn Bridge were switched off in the middle of the early morning or late night or after hours night from American flags to white surrender flags. Okay, it's just a bizarre story, to say the least. Do I even believe any of that happened? Of course not. But I mean, could they show you a white flag up there? Now, sure, but again, they close the Brooklyn Bridge at those times half the time anyway. So whatever. There's all kinds of shenanigans going on over there, to say the least. Anyway, so here's another. So this isn't from CNN. Okay, the Bugs Bunny one was from a long time ago. I was just gonna try to put a perspective on that for you. So again, if you follow the new $100 bill, you will see a reference, clear reference to the Brooklyn Bridge, and again, other references are on other bills of events that have already happened.
The Brooklyn Bridge is one of the busiest spots in one of the biggest cities in the world. Every day, 125,000 motor vehicles, 4,000 pedestrians, and 2,600 cyclists cross that bridge. Yet somehow, none of them noticed someone replacing the American flags that fly over the bridge with white flags.
All right, so a local city council member here in New York City telling me how concerned he was about it. He saw it on his way to work, tweeted about it, obviously then called NYPD saying, look, it's flags this time. What could it be next time? And that does beg the question. An NYPD detective whom I know well told me, look, it does seem like there was a security lapse here, saying there's a standard level of security at the bridge. Apparently that security failed. Perhaps more security is needed.
At this time, it appears it has no particular nexus to terrorism or even politics. This may be somebody's art project, or it may be an attempt at making some kind of statement, but at this point it's not clear what that statement is.
You've heard of the doctrine of plausible deniability.
This is an iconic landmark, not only in this country, worldwide. This is a place where you think you would have the top security. Bottom line, there was a security lapse. Around 3:30 in the morning, middle of the night last night, someone or a group of people replaced the iconic American flags with those white flags. NYPD didn't find out about it, they tell us, until 5:30 this morning when they were alerted by construction workers. We know a few things. We know that there is not cameras, apparently, that are NYPD operated, at least on this angle of the bridge. That has been troubling to some. What we also know is that they were all hands on deck. Counterterrorism was there, their intel division, their emergency services division. I want to play you a little bit of what police said this afternoon. This is not connected to terrorism.
Okay, so they don't know how the guy got up there to switch the flag, but they do know it's not connected to terrorism, and they do know a bunch of other nonsense. So this is all bizarre, to say the least, but it's also so there plausible deniability and confusion everywhere, and then, so they're going like, oh, we missed it, and again, it just seems like that's. Anyway, this is a story that happened in August, and about the white flags, which is surrender flag. It's just twisted.
So this is an iconic landmark, not only in this country, worldwide. This is a place where you think you would have the top security. Bottom line, there was a security lapse. Around 3:30 in the morning, middle of the night last night, someone or a group of people replaced the iconic American flags with those white flags. NYPD didn't find out about it, they tell us, until 5:30 this morning when they were alerted by construction workers. We know a few things. We know that there is not cameras, apparently, that are NYPD operated, at least on this angle of the bridge. That has been troubling to some. What we also know is that they were all hands on deck. Counterterrorism was there, their intel division, their emergency services division. I want to play you a little bit of what police said this afternoon. This is not connected to terrorism.
So come join us at the Harson's Institute of Plausible Deniability and let us show you how to run a dirty empire, but keep your hands clean.
This following picture had a lot of New Yorkers saying the same thing today. If someone can sneak up to the top towers of the Brooklyn Bridge and replace the American flags with white flags, what else can they do? And how safe can our landmarks really be, even with all the constant talk about Homeland Security?
It hit social media a little after 7 o'clock this morning. A tourist noticed something odd. The two American flags that usually fly atop both Brooklyn Bridge towers were gone, replaced by two mysterious white flags. Looking closer, you could see they were still American flags with the stars and stripes, but the red and blue was all bleached out.
Authorities have a new lead as they investigate the mysterious flag switch at the top of the Brooklyn Bridge. The lights that illuminated the American flags suddenly flickered out early yesterday morning, as can be seen on this EarthCam video. Well, the lights had been covered by aluminum pans, and they were secured with zip ties before the flags were replaced by white flags. Police are now looking for 4 or 5 people who were seen crossing the bridge about 20 minutes before the first light out. Although they have ruled out terrorism, they're now exploring whether this was a political message of surrender.
The only thing or person that should be surrendering at this time is the person who's responsible for the desecration of this flag.
Well, whoever did this was able to scale 276 feet and surpass the police, who monitor that bridge 24/7. That leads investigators to believe the suspects do have experience climbing or maybe in construction.
Tonight, CBS News has confirmed that 2 artists from Berlin are suspected of climbing the Brooklyn Bridge last month and replacing the stars and stripes with 2 white flags. They're believed to be back home in Germany. It was a major breach of security. Do you have orders to destroy this bridge if it comes to that? No, Mohammed said. The people need this bridge. No one's going to take my bridge.
Okay, that was from 60 Minutes again last month, and Mohammed's watching. He's like, they're like, can we destroy the bridge? Just another twisted bridge talk, folks.
Graham told a crowd in South Carolina, quote, "My fear is that it won't come to America on top of a missile. It'll come in the belly of a ship in the Charleston or New York harbor," end quote.
New York Harbor, that'd be where the Brooklyn Bridge is located as well, or part of it. Now, here's a quick clip from I did a show. You can check it on my website on, I called it a prediction show in 2012 on January 4th, I think it was, 2012. Right, so I did some predictions for 2012, and here's a prediction I gave out more than 2 years ago, pushing 3 years ago, a little less, and it's interesting. Well, here's what I said 3 years ago.
Thanks for coming aboard the Max Red.
And I just had this hunch about it. So this is before I even knew about the $100 bill thing and about much of this other talk about this thing. It just was in my head anyway, and I live very relatively close, not around the corner, but I go across the Brooklyn Bridge back and forth, and I have friends who live right across on the other side. More or less, it's an area called Dumbo, down underneath the Manhattan Bridge overpass or something like that. I think that's why it's called Dumbo. But the Brooklyn Bridge is right there, and my good buddy who lives on Front Street, which is literally right underneath the Brooklyn Bridge, even though it's a very ritzy area to say the least. Anyway, and they've been doing all, and when we were just chatting in front of his building the other day, and we're looking up at there, and then he told me, he's like, and he's not the guy who buys into everything. However, he was a guy he's a lawyer. He was a guy who just happened to he worked down near 9/11 and he actually volunteered to in the very beginning, in fact, even on the first day, to help out with the with some of the rescue and all that type of stuff. So he was really there. And he worked down there, even though he's just a guy who's a lawyer who happened to work down there. He has all kinds of thoughts and memories of those things. Anyway, so he said I told my wife, this is just like 2 days ago. He goes, I told my wife what you said about the Brooklyn Bridge, and she said I could see how that could possibly happen too. And to say the least, you wouldn't think that would come from people like them, but the bottom line is it just seems there's all kinds of sketchy stuff going on there. I've been saying that for years. Here's my clip from the 2012 show, coming down the back stretch, folks. So hang in there. So I'm saying, you see where I'm going with this. Is gonna, I'm saying that on the bill of the $100 bill, when you fold it, there's a Brooklyn Bridge reference. They've referenced 9/11. Before on other currency. That's because the people who control the currency are the same people who are terrorizing us and doing this garbage because for their own agendas, certainly nothing to do with our Muslim terrorists, which I know you hate to believe, that you hate to not be able to hate them. But I'm sorry, but they're just people like you and I, just like Matt Dillon said. You know, the guy was like, you don't think Indians are a bunch of dogs? They don't even know how to love a woman. He's like, well, I don't know about that. Okay. And I'm saying the same thing. They may be culturally different from us. I'm not, and I've heard all these kinds of things too. I'm not trying to say anybody's better or worse. I'm just saying that I've chatted with many Muslims of all, from Bangladesh and from Pakistan and from, because living in New York, I actually, they're all taxi drivers, and I take taxis, and West Africans, or many of them, most of them are Muslims in general. Every day I meet the sweetest, kindest, cutest, funniest, absolutely sweetest people you've ever met, and you never think. And a lot of them get defensive in the meeting because they're used to being attacked. But when I could tell them I know a little bit about their culture, and they open up, some people like, oh, I will not charge you today. I'm like, what? I'm not. I'm like, listen, I'll pay. They're just the sweet. Some of them, they say, and they love their wives. They're all talking to their wives on the phone, and I'm like, who's that? Your wife? She's like, yeah. She told me I meant to come home early today. But they are the furthest thing from rapists and child molesters or whatever there is, and I'm sorry, okay? That's just the way it is, okay? And again, I'm not a Muslim. I was raised in a Jewish family, and I love my Jewish people as well. But they're all. I'm sorry, but they're all. There's loads. Everybody I meet is a sweet, nice person, okay? Underneath it all, and the only people who are like outright murdering psychopaths are these people I'm talking about. Bill, listen, I'll show you. I don't have any friends who talk about killing 1 billion people on TV like Bill Gates does or Brzezinski does. I don't care. I don't have anybody. I don't know anybody like that. I know people who are a little bit more. But even though, you see, I'm sorry. Even my banker, investment banker friends are good. They're nice people too. They got their own problems too, and they're good people. All of them, okay? These people are psychopath murderers, and we all have to stick together and understand that. Okay, now, we're coming down the back stretch. Sorry to get into that rant. So I talked about this on my show in 2012. Let's go.
Thanks for coming aboard the Max Rent News Hour. This is my prediction for 2012 show. I think I gave you all my predictions. The Brooklyn Bridge. I think there's going to be an incident with that. I'm not sure if it's going to be some sort of a staged terror attack, which would be horrible. I'm not hoping for that, but that's a possibility. I know that they've been rigging it or something over the last few year or so, or 6 months. They've been like saying they're painting it. It's just peculiar what's going on over there. I see it all throughout the media. I know that Obama wants to do an infrastructure bank slush fund. I know that there's something. So could it be not a terror attack? Could it be some sort of a natural quote unquote disaster? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know how this is going to go off. I know that they're dying to put a toll on that thing too, because right now it's free to go over it. So they want to sell or even securitize the Brooklyn Bridge, and that's how they're going to do that. Yeah, that's where it's at. Securitize the Brooklyn Bridge. So there's plans for that. Whether that happens this year or not, it's going to happen. I'll bet that.
All right, that's what I said in 2012. Now I have a different perspective, and I see it'll be a pretext for another invasion or attack, or a just disruptive event. And like I said, at the end of the day, the slaves will have to pay to get over the Brooklyn Bridge back and forth, and they'll securitize it, and we'll probably channel the income that they get off that toll to some corporate entity offshore, which will be a front group for certain people who I've mentioned many times before, to put that money in their pocket and laugh at us like we're a bunch of morons, which we will be, because you'll be, Matt, you really believe that wasn't Al Qaeda? I'm like, don't worry, it's too late for that, okay, guys, okay? If I can't, it was a peanut butter and jelly cabal. Come on, man. Of course it wasn't Al Qaeda. It was Al Qaeda. Yeah, of course, a peanut butter and jelly Al Qaeda's.
Shut up, conspiracy theorist.
Time and tide, they wait for no man. And unless my demands are met, I will launch my nerve gas missiles on New York, Washington, and Miami in 11 hours. And oh, look at that, 11 minutes. Hey, make a wish.
Okay, and that's the last clip of this segment, and now I'm gonna pretty much exit the show. But let me just say one thing now. Let me put this all together for you now. Now it's on the $100 bill, but the Brooklyn Bridge. there's all this bizarre stuff about the white flags on the Brooklyn Bridge, and then they're going to say that and frankly, if you ever, even when I go to to check the weather on Yahoo Weather, they'll every single, they make it like it's photographs of Manhattan, and you should, there's lots of landmarks in Manhattan, but almost every other day it's like the Brooklyn Bridge or another bridge. Then they talk about bridges. And then on 60 Minutes, the guys like Muhammad is like, oh no, we're gonna destroy a bridge, okay? And so now, and the final clip is of this from that show Archer again. In Archer, the name of the it's a secret intelligence agency or security intelligence, whatever they call it. It's called ISIS. Okay, there's actually a real entity called ISIS. I'm not going to go into that now. Too, which is in the I. One of the I sounds stands for intelligence, whatever that is supposed to mean. So anyway, on Archer, they have this guy. He's a Free Nova Scotia terrorist already, which is kind of it's comical. But he's going to bomb New York. This is on the show. And again, now on Simpsons in 1998, they tipped us off to 9/11. They said you can check that yourself. Bart has a stack of money in his hand. He's got a flyer. It says 9/11 on the flyer, and a stack of money in his hand. And then they don't explain why a 10-year-old has a stack of money in his hand. And basically, it's a reference to check the money, and you'll see the hint from 9/11. So on Family Guy, they did a hint towards the Boston bombing before it happened, okay? I told you in my last Nigeria show that the end of American Dad, which is another cartoon, which is based, but a lot of the same people are involved. They talk about a staged kidnapping, the last show of the season. So now on Archer, which is again a lot of the same voice people involved. It's the same. There's a lot of the same people involved again, and it's quite cleverly written, funny show. And if you're not worried about some vulgarity and sexual innuendo too much, you might think it's kind of funny, which it's not for everybody. I'll warn you now. But however, the Archer show, they're ISIS, so I watched every show, and then I came up with this. And so the guy says, so he's a Free Nova Scotia terrorist, which is comical. And then he says, and he's going to bomb New York, and he looks at his watch and it says 11/11. Okay, and I'm going to tell you that on 11/11 this year, which is November 11th. Funny that I'm doing this show. It's October 11th tonight, or today. It's after 12. That 11/11 is November 11th, which would be November 11th, and that's just so happens to be Veterans Day on Tuesday, November 11th. So I'm just going to throw this one out there. And again, this is a wild, speculative guess, but I'll throw this one out there that how about some sort of twisted stage terror attack at the Brooklyn Bridge on November 11th, 2014. That's my guess, folks. You know what? This show is getting down to the wire. I'm going to play an outro, if you will, which is it's a bunch of clips, but let's just listen to that one again, and we'll keep it going.
Time and tide, they wait for no man. And unless my demands are met, I will launch my nerve gas missiles on New York, Washington, and Miami in 11 hours. And oh, look at that, 11 minutes. Hey, make a wish.
Make a wish.
Lloyd Blankfein is the Wall Street jihadi. Whoever runs ISIS is the Middle East jihadi type. But they're the same. There probably is Lloyd Blankfein is probably ISIS.
There's no terrorism in the United States except what the FBI orchestrates. And, of course, other than the terrorism of our own government, state, local, and federal.
The only terror I've seen is the government's people on their own people, because I don't see any terrorists around.
So we're the real terrorists. So since there are not any, to keep the people afraid, they have to go out and create them.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th.
CNN terror analyst Paul Cruikshank.
CNN terror analyst Paul Cruikshank. Okay, whatever, folks, whatever. There's on PBS, I got a guy named Ben Matzo Paul Crookshank. He's a terror. Well, Crookshank, of all things. He's a crook and he's shank. That's a twisted name, and I don't think anybody, that doesn't sound like a real name to me.
We face a hostile ideology, global in scope, atheistic in character, ruthless in purpose, and insidious in method.
Or insidious, and that's Eisenhower. Right as that was his farewell address as president, and he said we face a hostile conspiracy, basically. Well, I'll play it for you again, and we'll keep it going. We're getting down the backstretch of the Max Ratt News Hour, talking about ISIS. I'm your boogeyman.
We face a hostile ideology, global in scope, atheistic in character, ruthless in purpose, and insidious in method.
Shut up, conspiracy theorist.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy.
Don't give me the conspiracy bullshit. Come on, you're a more intelligent man than that. Well, come on. I mean, come on. Listen, there has never been a conspiracy in this country.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy.
Resistors to mind reprogramming will be exterminated for the good of the state.
Don't give me the conspiracy bullshit. Come on, you're a more intelligent man than that. Well, come on. I mean, come on. Listen, there has never been a conspiracy in this country.
Yeah, JFK, don't give me that conspiracy bullshit, JFK. You're smarter than that, buddy, like me.
These nefarious conspiracies about government plots to kill and conspire and lie about it and cover up the real truth. I mean, this stuff is as ridiculous as it has ever been.
Right, and Misha Mano's not ridiculous. No, she's totally, she's really, there's nothing wrong with her. No. You're an idiot. Me, JFK, and Eisenhower are all telling you the same thing, and Rachel Maddow's like, you guys are all crazy, and the other guy's like, there's never been a conspiracy theorist, you idiot. I'm like, oh, sorry, Ike and JFK are like, oh, sorry, buddy. What's your name again? Who are you? And Rachel Maddow, some twisted whatever, okay? And I'm sorry, folks. I don't give a shit if what your sexual preference is. I don't care. Just because you're gay, that doesn't mean you have to like an idiot like her, okay? I don't dislike Bill O'Reilly because I'm straight either, okay? Just whatever, just get a grip, okay? Just look at things for what they are, okay? She's a twisted, lying sack of garbage, okay? Listen to her again. So, Jay, okay, you know what? I'll shut up and we're gonna rock this show. It's almost done, folks. Here we go.
We face a hostile ideology, global in scope, atheistic in character, ruthless in purpose, and insidious in method.
Shut up, conspiracy theorist.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy.
Resistors to mind reprogramming will be exterminated for the good of the state.
These nefarious conspiracies about government plots to kill and conspire and lie about it and cover up the real truth. I mean, this stuff is as ridiculous as it has ever been.
I heard you say in one of the previous interviews that some young people, perhaps young men, young women, tend to romanticize conspiracy theories, and this is something that may draw them into war zones.
Right. So if you romanticize conspiracy theories, you're a terrorist. You're drawn into war zones. Okay. So me and Eisenhower and JFK again, and not Rachel Madcow's a peace activist, and I'm drawn into war zones because I'm conspiracy theorist because I believe we got a bunch of lying, murdering criminals running us like idiots.
But it won't be Osama bin Laden. It will be those behind the New World Order who once again want to take the freedom away from the American people because we're the only ones left in the world who can oppose the destruction of freedom in the world and the implementation of a one-world totalitarian socialist government, and that is the goal.
This person is a conspiracy theorist and not to be debated with.
Well, you don't have to listen to him because he's the conspiracy theorist. So if you just report facts, even without endorsing them, you're now a conspiracy theorist. So I think it's becoming a badge of honor to be called a conspiracy theorist because it means you tell the truth.
As soon as all the corrections which happened to be necessary in any particular number of the Times had been assembled and collated, that number would be reprinted, the original copy destroyed, and the corrected copy placed on the files in its stead. This process of continuous alteration was applied not only to newspapers, but to books, periodicals, pamphlets, posters, leaflets, films, soundtracks, cartoons, photographs, to every kind of literature or documentation which might conceivably hold any political or ideological significance. Day by day and almost minute by minute the past was brought up to date. In this way, every prediction made by the party could be shown by documentary evidence to have been correct. Nor was any item of news or any expression of opinion which conflicted with the needs of the moment ever allowed to remain on record.
Again, from 1984, check that yourself again. It's brilliantly contrived and prophetic and kind of fit the end of the show pretty good to keep it going. We're coming down the back stretch again, once again. It's called ISIS. I'm Your Boogieman, part one of a series of shows I'm going to do on ISIS. Coming down the back stretch, we're pretty much at the end. I'm going to sign off at the end, but I'm going to play these ones through if I can. You know what? I want to play that one last one again. So this is from 1984. I call it Altering the Past. So what they say is that they change the past, you know, because that was Winston's job, is to rewrite or change what the record was, and then he said, well, and then after you change the record, then it's true.
As soon as all the corrections which happened to be necessary in any particular number of the Times had been assembled and collated, that number would be reprinted, the original copy destroyed, and the corrected copy placed on the files in its stead. This process of continuous alteration was applied not only to newspapers, but to books, periodicals, pamphlets, posters, leaflets, films, soundtracks, cartoons, photographs, to every kind of literature or documentation which might conceivably hold any political or ideological significance. Day by day and almost minute by minute the past was brought up to date. In this way, every prediction made by the party could be shown by documentary evidence to have been correct. Nor was any item of news or any expression of opinion which conflicted with the needs of the moment ever allowed to remain on record.
And I have not lost faith. I'm not in despair, because I know that there is a moral order. I haven't lost faith, because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. I can still sing, "We shall overcome," because Carlyle was right. No lie can live forever.
And if all others accepted the lie which the party imposed, if all records told the same tale, then the lie passed into history and became truth. Who controls the past, ran the party slogan, controls the future. Who controls the present, controls the past. And yet the past, though of its nature alterable, never had been altered. Whatever was true now was true from everlasting to everlasting. It was quite simple. All that was needed was an unending series of victories over your own memory. Reality control, they called it. In newspeak, doublethink.
And I have not lost faith. I'm not in despair, because I know that there is a moral order. I haven't lost faith, because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice.
Shut up, conspiracy theorist.
We bury our heads in sand. We take 20 to 25 dump trucks, fill them with sand from Monarch Lake, and then dump the sand along South Park Avenue. By using approximately 18 dozen shovels, we can each dig a hole in the sand, stick our heads in the holes, and then have the person to our left bury them.
Now, it isn't easy to stand up for truth and for justice. Sometimes it means being frustrated. When you tell the truth and take a stand, sometimes it means that you will walk the streets with a burdened heart. Sometimes it means losing a job. It means being abused and scorned. It may mean having a 7 or 8-year-old child asking your daddy, why do you have to go to jail so much? I've long since learned that to be a follower of Jesus Christ means taking up the cross. And my Bible tells me that Good Friday comes before Easter. Before the crown we wear, there is the cross that we must bear. Let us bear it. Bear it for truth. Bear it for justice. And bear it for peace.
You run along now and you get your head in the sand. I'll be all right.
When high-level authorities will seek to use every method to silence dissent, something is happening and people are not going to be silent. The truth must be told. And I say that those who are seeking to make it appear that anyone who opposes the war in Vietnam is a fool or a traitor or an enemy of our soldiers is a person who has taken a stand against the best in our tradition.
If you have children, be sure to bury their heads in the sand before you bury your own.
Let me say finally that I oppose the war in Vietnam because I love America. I speak out against this war not in anger, but with anxiety and sorrow in my heart, and above all with a passionate desire to see our beloved country stand as the moral example of the world. I speak out against this war because I'm disappointed with America. And there can be no great disappointment where there is no great love. I'm disappointed with our failure to deal positively and forthrightly with the triple evils of racism, economic exploitation, and militarism. We are presently moving down a dead-end road that can lead to national disaster. America has strayed to the far country of racism and militarism. The home that all too many Americans left was solidly structured idealistically. Its pillars were soundly grounded in the insights of our Judeo-Christian heritage. All men are made in the image of God. All men are brothers. All men are created equal. Every man is an heir to a legacy of dignity and worth. Every man has rights that are neither conferred by nor derived from the state. They are God-given. Out of one blood, God made all men to dwell upon the face of the earth. What a marvelous foundation for any home. What a glorious and healthy place to inhabit. But America strayed away, and this unnatural excursion has brought only confusion and bewilderment. It has left hearts aching with guilt and minds distorted with irrationality. It is time for all people of conscience to call upon America to come back home. Come home, America.
All right, now get your head in the hole.
Dad, this is stupid.
Stanley, there's no time for your immaturity. Do it!
We're not trained to deal with this level of stress.
And so, you know, whether it's Ebola or you're terrified you're going to get your head cut off when you're on the way to the grocery store, you know, or you're getting patted down like a common criminal when you want to fly and see grandma. This whole, you know, this entire way of destroying your ability to think clearly is a definite plan.
We have figured it out. Go back to bed, America. Your government has figured out how it all transpired. Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control again.
If I don't come back, you tell Mother I love her.
Your mother's dead, Llewellyn.
Well, then I'll tell her myself.
And on that note, this is Max Ratt. Thanks for coming aboard the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. This was called ISIS Part 1. I'm your Boogieman. There was a big show. It was a long show. Got 2 more clips for you on the way out. Thanks for coming aboard. I think I made my points on this show. Stay tuned for the second and third parts of these shows. Kind of like the way this one came out. I know it was a long show. I know maybe you'll have to listen to it in bits and pieces, but hope you listen to it, and thanks again for coming aboard. I'm Max Ratt, live from the Rat Hole in New York City on October 11th, 2014, and I'm signing off to you right now. Here's 2 great clips on the way out. Thanks for coming aboard. Hope to see you soon again.
When I speak of love, I'm not speaking of some sentimental and weak response. I am speaking of that force which all of the great religions have seen as the supreme unifying principle of life. Love is somehow the key that unlocks the door which leads to ultimate reality. This Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist belief about ultimate reality is beautifully summed up in the first epistle of John. Let us love one another, for God is love, and every one that loveth is born of God and knoweth God. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. If we love one another, God dwelleth in us, and his love is perfected in us.
Batmobile over and out.
Right.